Hey, everybody. Hello, 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 hello. What day is this? Today is Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. I have so much to talk about. Hello. And the reason why I have so much to talk about is there's been a lot that has happened like in the last, I don't know, week or so. We had our first pink pill retreat. Oh, stop. We had our first pink pill retreat. It was beautiful. It was wonderful. We announced the second pink pill retreat that's going to be in Italy, and that basically sold out in 4 days. And we just opened it up just a little bit window. We are opening it up to 25 more people. So if you are already enrolled in the pink pill and you are disappointed because you, for whatever reason, didn't see that we announced the second retreat in Italy. Yeah, we have 25 spaces, but I got to tell you, 5 spaces of those 20 have already been taken up. So if you want to do it, better hurry up. I have on the line Kendall, my buddy, Kendall, St. Charles. Everybody say hello. Kendall, say hello to everybody.
What's up, everyone?
We had a lot to talk about. I cannot believe the last live we did was 7 hours, girl.
I know that was crazy. I have implemented a new level up strategy in my life, which I'm calling portion control.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about really just putting some parameters and putting more structure into my life so I can get more out of what I put, I can get more out of what I put in, more out of, make every minute, dollar, and decision count. And so I've been really on some, portion control in your life. But that video, we I didn't expect for us to do a 7-hour video. It didn't like we were doing 7 hours, but yeah, we did 7 hours.
Right. I had to tell you. So when you were talking, I would ask you questions. I have a confession. So I would ask you questions open-ended that I knew it would take you a while to answer so I could go to the bathroom.
Yeah, of course. I mean, listen, it is what it is. Everybody knows that I'm going to give a very detailed. I don't know how people walk away confused when I'm speaking, because I complete a thought for you.
No, you all the way complete the thought. I mean, it was just so clear. But the thing was, and it was really beautiful, and the reason why we both just decided that we were going to take that video off and just put it into limited company. I did put it up on our Patreon. So if you're a Patreon, you can see that. And also in our private groups, we put it up there. But the thing that really, where we were just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And why both of us felt like we should probably circle back was the responses in the chat room, right?
Yeah.
All the women who were like, I've been raped, I've been abused, this has happened to me. It sort of really brings it to the surface. The level of secrecy and denial that goes on, but we still have to sort of carry on. And it was just really moving at one point. I mean, it really brought me to tears because there were so many women that came out and said that this was their story. And to just bring people back, we were discussing she was 21 years old, the girl who had a baby already, a 2-year-old child already, and was seeing a man who was, I think, 32 or 34 years old. And he somehow was alone with the child, the baby, because anybody who's had a child knows that a 2-year-old is a baby, it's still a baby. He was alone with the baby, and where she wasn't able to supervise. When she came back, the baby was crying, and the dude was like, "This child is, crying too much. You need to beat her because she's crying." So she starts beating her, and he says, "Well, you're not beating her hard enough." So he starts beating her. Child goes unconscious. They beat the child to death, but they're so dumb. Between the two of them, they have maybe a collective IQ of 50. They take off the daughter's clothes. And when the mother takes off the daughter's clothes to put her in the bathtub, because they're thinking, well, we need to wake her up. They think she's unconscious or whatever. So we're going to put her in the bath. A cold bath. She takes off the baby's clothes and sees she has been sexually violated. Like, even to just, it burns me up, Kendall, to even talk about it again. So she's taking off this child's clothes. The baby was crying because she had been raped. The baby was crying because some dirty dick man, 30-something years old, thought that a 2-year-old baby was open. It was open season. It was his for the taking. And he violated this. I want you guys to understand, and I keep saying, a 2-year-old child is a baby. They are 24 months old. Anybody who has had a child knows that a 2-year-old is a baby. And a 30-something-year-old grown man sticking his member in a 2-year-old baby, that alone can kill a child. You can cause internal bleeding. A baby's inside, the female baby's inside, is not made for adult man's penis. It's not. So she had to endure that. And to add insult to injury, this man who had just finished taking her innocence, she's a baby. She was innocent for 24 months, maybe not even that. For 24 months, he takes that away from her and then says, you know what? You need to stop crying. You're getting on my nerves. I just violated you. You're crying too much. So I'm going to make your mother beat you. And then I'm going to beat you to death. And you know what? I'm going to be honest with you, Kendall. That child, I think the child was better off dead.
Yes, she was.
I really do. I mean, if this is your mother, if this is the kind of man that your mother, will bring into your life, that child's better off dead. I know that sounds really bad, but I mean,
don't say no bad truths to Black folks, because they're gonna have you running around saying you a genocidist. So you don't say that.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Because we need to bring more children into the world that can be raped and beaten. Because that's better, right?
Well, what we need to do is dismantle the system of white supremacy. You see,
white supremacy caused that man to want to rape a baby.
Right.
To rape a baby. And this is the kind of stuff that goes on. And Kendall, where do we get the news about that? It was in an international newspaper. I think it was the Daily Mail or something like that. Huffington Post Black Voices didn't cover it. Your Web, I write a column for them. They didn't cover it. Nobody covered it.
Well, Black publications are not going to cover anything that's going to promote or make the Black man look bad. They're not going to focus. Now, those same people, if that same man had been killed, gunned down by police, then we would hear, we know every detail of his life. But they're not going to promote anything that's going to reflect what's truly going on inside this community.
Right. I mean, even if the guy, I wonder, it's gotten so crazy. I mean, the guy could be running away because he just raped the 2-year-old. He gets gunned down by the police and they'll cry foul because he got gunned down even after he just raped a baby. I mean, that's how twisted it is. Well, it doesn't matter. He should have been able to have his due process.
Well, yes. I mean, that's pretty much where we're at in this.
Yeah.
I've already stated that. I've asked the question, I truly believe that if it got to the point where, they were eating our children, if they were eating us, Black women would still find a way to defend and everything. So,
yeah, I mean, we sort of feed into that. I mean, I was just listening to a live that you did in one of your private groups of a woman who's basically being a vehicle to, sort of lead young women, young impressionable Black women, to be used and abused and exploited because of this idea that you have to, that greatness comes out of struggle, that blessings come out of struggle, and that it is more admirable to, get with a man who's struggling than to get someone who's already, because you were once struggling, so you really shouldn't be judging somebody. It's interesting to me what we will tolerate.
Well, I mean, I told you that the greatest protectors of the pimparchy is not the pimparch; it is his bottom bitch, his bottom
Yeah.
hoe, and the black woman. And it's always a very specific archetype of black woman too.
Yeah.
But she's the one who transfers. It's like she's the vector who transfers the contaminant. She transfers the zombie strain to the next black.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Because there's no way that it could happen without the willingness of black women. And so black women are the ones who are always there to promote struggle as noble and moral. And it's our moral duty and imperative to uplift and to struggle alongside our men. Um, and so, yeah, she was this video that was shared in one of my groups, and it's been seen, 60, almost 70,000 times in a year, where the black woman is talking about, picking, just this whole idea of struggle, and
Right.
that we need to humble ourselves and be willing to struggle with our men and all that. And I don't understand, because when we do that, then they turn around and say you're supposed to choose better. So I
Right.
don't really know.
Yeah. You can't
The
win. See, they that's on purpose.
the double consciousness of black people is weird to me. It's bizarre how we have such a double consciousness, particularly when it comes to the role that black women play in the community. It's really weird. Two competing things exist at the same time, with no reconciliation between the two. And so on one hand, you're supposed to choose better, and because what you're doing is destroying the race, destroying the people, and thus you're acting as an agent of the white supremacist structure. But on the other hand, but you're supposed to engage in this build a bear workshop
Right.
to understand, and you're supposed to grade on a curve and give extra cool points, and care and have compassion for the struggle of the males who are under the weight of this oppressor. So it's no wonder that black women are crazy, because we are definitely crazy. But it's no wonder, with these two competing impulses and messages being hurled at us at all times, that make you a crazy person. There's no way that you would not be bipolar in your approach to life and love. If you know There's no way that you cannot end up taking a bipolar, kind of oscillating between two extremes
Right.
mentality, with the messaging that you get as a black, particularly a black American woman, that contradicts each other and puts you in conflict with yourself.
Right. Well, but do you think so? Think about these two opposing messages. What does it do? Who does it absolve? Both bases are covered. So if you get a bum dude, then he gets the benefits. If you get a successful dude, he gets the benefit. And whatever choice you make, if it doesn't work out for the woman, it's always her fault.
Right.
So if she gets the bum dude, it's because you picked a bum dude. If it didn't work out with a successful dude, it was because you didn't humble yourself. You wanted to, you were batting outside of your, whatever your station, or you were, aiming too high. Your standards were too high, and you should have gotten somebody on a lower level. You didn't stay in your lane. So no matter what, it's always the woman's fault. Do you understand these two opposing things? Like, if you have to build up the man. Okay, I'm gonna build up the man. Okay, this man leaves me broken, rapes my babies, beats me to death, leaves me with, a broken woman, stretch marks. Nobody wants me anymore. Well, it's your fault for picking a bum dude.
Right.
And it is with a straight face that these people communicate these things to you. It is so schizophrenic.
Yeah, but yeah, it is. It's interesting though, because I was reading the comments. I read the comments under the videos that you and I do, and it's so interesting that you would come up with, you know, in addition to some of the comments that were going on in the live chat where you know, the sisters were sharing their horrible experiences of abuse and all that. But there were also comments, particularly like underneath the video, where people were saying, so you shouldn't promote the idea that, you know, white men are perfect, or you shouldn't. And it's like, I don't know what goes on in these conversations. I don't know how a person can listen to what we're saying and walk away, and the only thing they take from it is, well, white men know
Yeah.
better. I don't know what is the chemical.
Yeah, y'all need to explain that. You guys, so you guys in the chat, can you please explain to us what it is that Kendall and I articulate that inspires people to get the impression that we're saying white men are better? Here's an example of this, Kendall, and I'm sure you've heard about it. Last week, before Chad and Michelle debuted on, I think it was the OWN show, they're obviously an interracial couple. She's a former Destiny's Child singer. She, you know, was kind of the forgotten one. She was kind of the ugly one, you know, she's not as cute as the other, you know, whatever. She wasn't, you know, swooped up and snapped on. She was a darker skinned woman. Nobody was really, you know, men weren't really checking for her like they were checking for, you know, a Kelly Rowland or obviously a Beyonce. So she was kind of like the sort of forgotten one. So she finds this man. She's in church. She finds this man, white guy who's a pastor. They fall in love. They get engaged. Not to say that, you know, this man is perfect or she's perfect or whatever. But so before the season premiered, there was a clip that they did where it talked about online and social media. Black people were calling her a bed wench, who were saying that she was wasting her Black genes on, you know, her Blackness, and she was watering down her gene pool by being with this man or whatever. And I said, you know, it's just interesting because it wasn't like she was being, you know, her cup runneth over with Black men who were, you know, seeking her out and wanting to marry her. She went where the love was. I'm not saying that the love with them is perfect, which, you know, I tempered when I said my video. I said, now here's the thing where I'm not going to do. I'm not going to get all in on this rah, because I know reality shows are a hot mess and they will manufacture drama. They will also, you know, just, you know, interracial relationships where Black women is featured as the center of it are so fragile. And so, and people, I'm gonna just be frank, people who watch reality shows, people on social media, not everybody is discerning. Not everybody is the brightest bulb. So they're gonna look at stuff like this and they're going to for why they should not pursue interracial relationships. So that's why I don't really like these shows. And I was like, you know what? I will have a cautious optimism. I hope that they do right by this couple, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did not. And so this week, there's all of this proliferation, Kendall, on YouTube about Chad not really understanding her plight as a Black woman because she raised her voice. I didn't even know exactly what it was. You guys in the chat room, you guys saw it because you guys are following this stuff more than me. He's raising his voice. He says, well, you know, raising your voice doesn't have anything to do with your race or something. And so there's this proliferation of videos, outrage videos now, about a white man saying, see, he does not understand her plight as a Black woman. So what do you think about that? Him making fun of her mental illness and this and that, the other. And what do you say about that? Oh, but you don't have anything to say about that because white men are perfect. I was like, well, what did you say last week when Black folks were calling her a bed wench and a coon and a traitor to the race? Where were your videos saying that wasn't right? This is, again, another double consciousness. There's this idea that we can abuse Black women as long as it's us. But if somebody else does it, then we will do these videos and cry foul and all this other things. That's why nobody takes us seriously, because the community treats its women like absolute cow dung, and everybody sees, but then you're not outraged about it at all unless somebody outside of the community does it. So basically what you're saying, this is my bitch. I get to knock her in the face. I get to kick her ass. I get to rape her. I get to beat her. I get to tear babies out of her body. You don't get to do that.
Right. I told you that Black people think that it's the Black man's right to kill Black women.
Yes.
We say it all the time. Anytime someone tries to talk about, these crazy negative stats that exist in the community that display, a kind of a disproportionate amount of violence and hatred towards Black women and children, what will Black people say? Well, that's just, well, of course, more, Black men are the ones who are the primary killers of Black people and Black women because, well, they live most around Black people and Black women. And that's the same thing that they use to kind of say, well, this Black on Black crime doesn't exist because, white people kill white people the most, Black people kill Black people the most, and try to dismiss that there's something specific going on with us that's set apart from it. But what they're really saying is the proximity, the proximity excuse. What it's saying, without saying, is that, well, of course, Black men kill Black women. I mean, white men kill white women, and Indian men kill Indian women. So Black men are going to kill Black women, and this is just kind of just this accepted amount. And that's kind of one of the shadow sides of patriarchy, right? That we just kind of accept that as a downside, as an unfortunate side of male domination. That sometimes it goes a little too far, and you end up with dead women and dead children. That men, will kill, rape, abuse children and women. And it's kind of like, damn, that's fucked up. Yeah, let's talk about it. Okay, Me Too hashtag. But we're not really prepared to change any of the things that are leading to that, because let's be real, women like patriarchy, and we like certain things about the masculine. We like the domination. We like the power. We like the control. And so we're willing to concede. It's called the patriarchal bargain. I talked about it in my I Agree With You video and my Let's Make a Deal videos in 2016. There's a certain amount of power. There's a certain amount of abuse that the human female just kind of accepts as part of the package deal in exchange for provision and protection, right? The men dominate the society. They hold the resources. And we do this dance back and forth with each other. And unfortunately, one of the downsides is that you're going to get situations where men, because they're full of testosterone and they tend to be more violent, they tend to not be able to manage their emotions as well, that you're going to get, some unfortunate deaths, right? And we kind of just accept this. But so Black people feel then that as a Black man, as part of this understood thing, that, I mean, of course they're going to kill Black women and children. So there's
we're going to rape 2-year-old babies and kill them,
because Indian men rape 2-year-old Indian babies, and 2-year-old white babies, and Hispanic men rape 2-year-old Hispanic babies. So of course Black men are going to rape 2-year-old Black babies. But what's interesting to me is that this comes from the same race of people who also want to set ourselves as Black people apart and suggest that we are naturally more noble.
Yes.
That certain things are just not in us, that only white people are serial killers, that only white people are rapists. I've seen these comments as recently as just the past couple of weeks.
Only white men are pedophiles, and that's the only reason they want to date. That's the hilarious. That's heard. Oh, so a white man, the only reason he's going to want to get with a Black woman with a kid is so he can, rape your child. Oh, really?
Right.
Hello, pot, meet kettle. Really?
And so there's this idea that that black men, as just a natural part of the patriarchal, of men being men, that they're just gonna kill you, right? But there is something uniquely unfair, something uniquely tragic, something uniquely out of order, or uniquely immoral when a white man does something to a Black woman.
Yes.
There is something, and if he does something to a Black woman in a situation where it seems like her proximity to that man was her choice, meaning that she lived around all white people, or she dated a white man, or she married a white man, or she had a child with a white man, or whatever, then there is this thing of, well, what did you expect?
Right.
Black woman, what did you expect? You went to your oppressor. You went to the enemy.
Right. That's the thing. It's like, Are you serious? It's not like Black women are being treated so wonderfully within the community. And so and then it's again, when we talk about with this whole swirl gone wrong. Oh, this Black woman dated a white dude and he, killed her. He, dumped her in the river. See, this is why you need to stay where you are. Why? Because y'all aren't killing us and dumping us in rivers? Like, and then when you say that, they look at you for a second like they don't understand. I'm like, okay, so you should not date white men because they may kill you and dump you in the river. Okay, well, last week there were 6 Black men who killed women and dumped them in the river. So should we not date them too? Well, of course not. Well, you just got to choose better Black men.
Right.
Okay.
And so it's interesting that I don't know, I go back and I listen to our videos, and I'm looking to hear, like, because of course I see the comments, and you're going to see those comments where you're going to see Black people suggesting that what we're saying is that white men are perfect and Black men are in totality horrible and evil. And I go back and I listen. Now I'm so long-winded. It's like, how could you possibly listen to me
Right.
and all of my contextualization? So you're only listening. The only thing I can come to is that either you are intellectually compromised or you're willfully obtuse, because
Right.
I'm so long-winded that it's hard to imagine that you could listen to what I say and then still walk away with what you're saying, unless you just didn't llisten to what I said.
No, they don't listen. They don't listen because, somebody came on to that Michelle Williams post that I did, that I posted a week before this current news came out, and said, well, you see, well, what about the fact that he's making fun of her mental condition? Are you kidding me? There is a man on here. Like, the outrage is unbelievable. I have been very open about, struggling with general anxiety disorder. Because I feel like Black women, despite people using it against me, which is, general anxiety disorder is fairly mild. It's pretty low on the spectrum of mental health. Okay, a lot of people have this, but I wanted to make this clear. Do you know that it is Black people who use the fact that I have openly communicated that in order for other Black women to feel less shame about doing that? So please don't come in here with your outrage about somebody shaming somebody about having a mental disorder when y'all have been up on here for the past 10 years shaming me because I've had a very mild, like, I've never been in the hospital. I've never had to go to any kind of rehab. I've never had that level of issue. But y'all have, there have been people on YouTube who have used that as a tool and a reason to say that I'm crazy. And these are other Black people. So please don't come in here with your fake outrage because Chad as shaming her mental illness when y'all shame Black women with mental illness all damn day. You tell Black women that mental illness is for white people. You just need to go to the church and pray that there's something wrong with you. There's something that deficit you, that you're not being strong. If you're gonna, that's copping out. That's selling out, whatever. Like, so please don't come to my channel and then act outraged because you saw an episode and you want to be outraged because you're seeing a Black woman that got away from your abuse. And then you feel like, well, she got away, but she's still being abused. Why won't you just stay where she is? She can get abused right here all by herself. I mean, that's kind of what I'm hearing. I mean, Kendall, is that what I'm hearing? Like,
wait, when they were talking about Michelle talking about her depression and her
yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, they always do. I mean, I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder and bipolar 2 disorder. So, and yeah, I've heard Black people try to use that, and I've shared that publicly, and I've heard they've done the same thing. Anytime you show any vulnerability, on one thing, they'll keep demanding an all access pass to your life. But then when you do give them, anything, they run with it and weaponize it against you.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
And I wonder why people want to, keep their identities, hidden, don't want certain things known or discussed, is because we share these things to try to help, but
Right.
it's weaponized against us and used to discredit us.
Absolutely. And here's the thing too, like, you know, you you say that, you know, Black women are, you know, dysfunctional, we crazy, we doing all this stuff. When they do show layers of where that vulnerability is, you hold it against them. And so when they do act a certain way, or they do act out, or they do something that seems sort of out of the box, you criticize them for it and just say, well, it's because you're ratchet, you're inherently disgusting, you know. And there's just this, there's no there was just, it's like what you say, there is no compassion or empathy for what Black women go through. And it's also another reason why Black women are so defiant when they're wrong, because the Black community does not, they don't give you any compassion. They don't understand nuance. You make a mistake and that's it for you. So you know, there's a lot of women who will be clearly wrong, clearly in the wrong, or clearly done something that's like clear donkey behavior, and they will be defiant. And some of that is just being ignorant, but some of that is because the fear of saying I was wrong, there's just no compassion. There is no, you know, there is no soft place. Like, you can't even have generalized anxiety disorder, which has got to be the like the least, you know, serious diagnosis for mental health. You can't even have that in this community without being deemed a crazy person. So why, you know, there's no wonder why, you know, we hold this veil, we hold up this idea that we're all perfect and everything is fine, even though we're, you know, 60, 100 pounds, 200 pounds overweight. We're clearly not fine. But to show that vulnerability, they'll eat you alive.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. But I will say this, I read the comments, and I want to ask this of the ladies in the comment section. Some of you I know, you know, some of you are more newer, but I have a question. When we do, I part of the reason why I believe that people believe that what we're saying is like they walk away from what we're saying, believing that we're just sitting here. All we're trying to do is suggest that Black men are all horrible and white men are the answer for everything. It's the commenters, because I'm looking
Oh.
and
Mm-hmm.
I just see. I'm speaking specifically for those of you who are in the chat right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Speak it. Go ahead. Say it. Play. Make it plain.
listen, we all go through a phase. It's a phase when you first, particularly when you are first waking up. It is the same thing that happens. It's like the stages of grief. And I've talked about this before. There's typically 5 stages of grief. Some people say there's 7. When I did my event, we talked about, I think 9, I think I gave stages of grief that happens to you as a Black woman when you begin to awaken out of the Blackistan stupor. And Blackistan is not just a location. Y'all need to come out of that thought process of Blackistan just being a Black neighborhood or a bad neighborhood. Blackistan is the mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Blackistan is the typical American Black acculturation
Mm-hmm.
that just teaches you what the world is about, what life is about. And so when you first wake up out of that, you will go through the typical stages, denial, you're going to be disbelief, then bargaining, then anger, then there's different phases. And I recognize that a big part of this
Wait,
process.
just want to say, I'm sorry to cut you off. I was just thinking about something. Do you think the bargaining is when we hear Black women say, okay, yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, some of these Black men are messed up, but not all, not all. Is that a bargain? Is that
Yeah.
okay? Yeah, so that's the bargaining stage. So when you hear a woman acknowledge, okay, yeah, there's something wrong, but.
Yes. So that is the bargaining phase. But I will say this. What I want to talk about is not even that phase. What I want to talk about is what's considered the second phase, which is anger.
Yeah.
And a lot of us, I'm talking to you ladies who are in the chat now, specifically because I'm reading your chats. I understand that the energy of rage and anger, it fuels change, and this is why it is necessary. A lot of times it's a necessary part of change. People kind of need to become angry in order to be motivated
Mm-hmm.
to make changes, to come up out of that apathetic kind of stoic quiet acceptance of things just being the way they are. So I get it, and I talk about emotional alchemy of alchemical transmutation of negative emotional feelings to use it to fuel and power the changes you want in your life. So be clear when I say this. Let me quantify by saying this, that I know how important a step the anger is in the divestment process. I know. I've been through it. I know what does concern me though, and I think part of the reason why some people walk away from our discussions, me and you, Chris, believing that we are the whole purpose of us coming together, the whole purpose of our platforms is just to sit and rail on black men all day, and then to kind of exalt white men as the ultimate answer. It's not necessarily so much because of what we say as
Mm-hmm.
it is because of what our followers say.
Yeah.
And I just want to say this: anger is a normal part. It's a very necessary for most of us in order to wake us up out of this stupor, because this is a spell that we're under.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's going to take an equal and opposite force to knock us off that current trajectory, right? To get us to thinking differently in a way that will ultimately change our fate. And anger is a very important part of it. In the 5 stages of grief, the first one is denial, the second one is anger. And so I see in the comment section often from many of you guys a lot of anger, and
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
The problem is, though, some of you, I think, struggle with moving on from the anger.
Yeah.
I think it feels good to be angry. It feels good to rage against the machine. It feels good to say the things that you've always secretly felt, but never felt like you had permission to say. It feels good to out the predators, to acknowledge the victims and to out the predators. I get that. And I've done that too. I mean, hell, I spent all of 2016 and most of 2017, pointing at who was at the gate, asking a different set of questions. I get it. The problem, though, is that I think some of you don't ever really progress past that anger phase. You stay in that phase, and when you show up, when we show up, and then you show up, all you bring is the anger.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is that the anger is a very specific energy, but it doesn't capture the full context of what you and I are saying.
Right.
And so I want to say this for those of you who are still in that angry phase where every comment is that black men ain't shit, that
Yeah.
black men are terrorists, that black men are losers, black
They
men
should
are
all
pussies,
die.
black
Everybody
men,
should all
right,
in.
all black men should
Yeah.
die, boy, all the black babies, kill
Right.
all. What I need for y'all to do, some of you to do, is to sit quietly with that feeling, and to work on um figuring out how to use that energy to push you to the next level.
Yeah.
A lot of what y'all do is you looking for safe spaces to vent your anger and your frustration, and I get it. The dudes do it the same way. When the He-Man Black Woman Haters Club guys come and create videos, those guys are underneath the videos calling y'all everything but a child of God. It's the same energy. The problem is 5, 6, 7 years later, you're still doing it.
Right.
Like at some point, you're supposed to move on. Don't get me wrong, a feeling of righteous indignation will probably always be there with you. But if your response to every conversation is simply about what black men are and aren't doing, are or are not doing, and you don't see these discussions that we're having as an opportunity for you to look at yourself and what you may be doing to contribute to the problem, the ways in which you have co-signed, the ways in which you have um, chosen, that allows for these things that you're angry about to continue to exist and to thrive, then you're really missing the point of our platforms. Our
Right.
platforms are not just for you to rage against black men. Now we have to. Here is the deal. The reason why we have to talk, because people say, well, why can't you just, do what you do without talking about black men? Let me tell you why I eventually realized that I was going to have to address black males in order to be able to do the work I did. When I first came out in 2000, when I first started my think tank 2013, I tried to go straight. I was all about the mirror And if you look at my post, I was talking about envy and corrupt sisterhood and the nastiness and passive aggression and all of those things on my platform back when I, 2013, when I first launched the Black Women Think Tank. And what I learned was that Black women could not look at ourselves because everything about us, our identity, our experiences, we don't relate to ourselves directly. It's like I told you before, it's a triangulation process. We don't relate to ourselves and thus each other directly. We relate to ourselves and to each other through the Black male and our shared experience with him. And so in order for me to kind of get you to look at yourself, I had to kind of pry your hands
Mm-hmm.
on him. And that's when I started talking about who was at the gate. That's when I started talking about, history, when I started talking about slavery. That's why I did that, because I had to go back and make you understand what was going on, the truth about him, in order to bring you to the point where you were ready to face the truth about yourself. That's why I did that. Not because the ultimate premise of my platform was just to shit on Black males. It was to show you the truth of who he was and who he's been to you, to contextualize this weird love-hate relationship that you have with him and he has with you, and to give you permission to start looking at yourself, because y'all are under a spell. And so I had to do that. But so what happens is some of y'all get caught in that phase and you can't move on. And so when we're having a conversation, so what happens is we have to bring up the inequalities, the double consciousness, the bipolar messages, the hypocrisy, the double speak. And we can't do that without pointing to the Black man. But it's not to point to him so that y'all could just rail at him. Everything that the Black man has done that y'all don't like happens on your watch, ladies. It happened on the watch of your mother. It happened on the watch of your aunties. It happened on the watch of your grandmother, your godmother, your sister friends, the female church members. It happens on the watch of the Black woman. And so when we're bringing this up, we're trying to get you to look at him and understand the role he plays in, but ultimately it's a mirror. Right? That's what we're trying to get you to pick up, is a mirror. And what I see, a lot of y'all don't want to look in the mirror. You want to keep externalizing the problem to him. The same way some of you, before you found us, was externalizing the problem to white men. So what you do is each time you replace the different aggressor with someone else, but it's never you.
Right.
You might start off thinking every problem that Black people had was because of white supremacy. Then you realize, okay, that sounds not right. And you come across us and you hear what we say about some of the harsh truths about Black people. And you say, oh, well, no, it's not the white man, it's the Black man's the problem. And you focus exclusively on that. And but the ultimate goal should be is to look at yourself.
Yeah.
And I see a resistance to doing that, ladies. I see a resistance amongst even those of you who are listening now, that every comment is about what Black men aren't doing. And the question is, why are you choosing to still continue to be victims of this behavior of Black males? You guys have much more power than you want to give yourself credit. You're completely beholden to these dudes, and that there's nothing you can do to change it, when it's everything. You have the power to change everything. But if all you're doing is talking about what the Black man is doing to you and not what you are allowing, what you're co-signing, what you're encouraging, then you're never going to level up and make the changes that ultimately me and Chris hope for you to make. Yes, the angry phase is a natural part of the thing, but if you stuck there 5-6 years later and you're still talking about nignogs and apes and calling them names,
yeah,
y'all should
that hurts us too. Like, it hurts our reputation. Like,
yes.
It damages us. Like, we both Kendall and I understand that we need to allow for a certain level of venting. We understand that there's a lot of feelings that go on with this. But just to let you guys know that this, your comments, like, I've had to stop doing letting the comments just be free because of all this, because it has been a reflection on me. It has hurt my, it has caused so much animus with crazy people that they can't get to you. So they come after me because what you were saying on my channel, they think is a reflection of what I say. No matter what I say, it must, my fans, my followers, I'm they are a reflection of me, and so therefore I deserve to be terrorized. So I want you to understand that while you are doing all of this stuff, and you can be anonymous and nobody's coming after you, they're coming to my house. They're mailing my friends and my relatives and my neighbors because they can't get to you, because they think that what you say is what I think.
Right.
So I just want you to understand that, you know, this has a negative effect. Like people misconstruing Kendall's, you know, stop it pose where she says, you know what, if black men are causing this much pain for you, then stop it. Stop it. Stop giving them, you know, immortality. Stop, you know, doing all of these. Cut off the source of the nutrition, cut off the umbilical cord. And instead of taking that as a metaphor for a lot of different things, y'all went on to say that Kendall says abort all black babies. You were saying it in the comment section. We obviously can't get to every single one. You guys were going to different groups on Facebook and other parts of the chat rooms saying that this is what Kendall said. And now Kendall is now known as the baby killer. So, like, do you understand that this has a cost?
And what it does is, and it's true, there is a sacrificial energy to it, ladies, where you guys, I know you don't mean to be. I get it. You know, there are not a lot of places in your life. There are not a spaces in your real life where you can vent, where you can say these things. You can't say it around your family. You can't vent your frustrations. You can't talk about your you know, divestment. You can't start to become sovereign because there are no spaces for it in your real life. And so you, when we show up, you're like, wow, I can finally get this off my chest. But I want you to also look at it this way. There is a sacrificial energy to it because you say it anonymously, like Christelyn just said, with a bird as your avatar, with like, you know, silky tea, you know, 2816, and you say it in frustration and vent it on our platforms and then walk away. But then we're left being responsible for what you say. And there's something sacrificial about that. That when
Yes,
you're making
it is.
a sacrifice, because you know that ultimately they're not going to track you down and find your personal Facebook page and your personal email address and threaten you and your children and your life and your future. They're going to do it to us.
Yes.
And I just want y'all to understand that triangulation process, and a lot of what's happening, and I see it, me and Chris have been talking about it, and I'm just going to tell y'all the truth. A lot of what is happening amongst Black women in Black women-centric spaces, that's BWE, swirl spaces, sovereign spaces, goddess spaces, feminist and womanist spaces online, is that y'all are just throwing out one form of trauma bonding for another.
Mm-hmm.
You're not finding out how to relate to yourselves and to each other without the presence of the Black male. So before, the triangulation process was sisters through the sun. We only relate to each other through our shared endurance of the Black male. Y'all are now replacing that with, we only relate to each other through our shared hatred of the Black male. When does the relationship happen between you and me personally? And when does the relationship happen between you and the mirror? Because what I see constantly is a lot of, you know, blaming the Black man. Listen, let me tell y'all the harsh truth. If you are still finding yourself feeling ultimately oppressed every day by Black men in your life, then you are not doing what we're telling you to do.
Right.
Or you're not positioning yourself to be out of that situation, you know, in due time. Everything that we're talking about divesting from, if you are you know, 18 and older, is within your power to do. If you're still ranting and raving about Black men all day every day, anytime we try to talk about anything, you're in the comment section talking about nignogs and apes and all that.
Right.
You're still feeling victimized. And how long do you plan to be? See, I don't feel victimized by Black males.
Right.
That's why I can say the things I say without it being so much emotional attachment to it, because I don't walk around feeling victimized by Black males. What I do try to do is give voice to some of what you guys are feeling. But if after listening to me 2, 3, 4 years, after following Chris 7, 8, 9 years, you're still in that phase,
Right.
and you're still playing the victim, and so what you did is swap out one villain for another. For many of us, we started out as Afrocentric and woke, and then we swapped out the evil white man for the evil Black man.
Right. Exactly. And you just want to, and here's the thing, it's being used as an excuse not to do anything.
Right.
It's the same thing with white supremacy. You know, white supremacy is used as a crutch to excuse why you won't do anything. You know, I was looking through my Facebook feed where people were saying, you know, I'm not voting because white supremacy. You're such a fool. Like, you're just the dumbest person. I don't want you to vote because you're too dumb to vote. Like, if you think that, you know, white supremacy is going to keep your vote from counting, your vote is just as, it counts just like everybody else's vote. Votes are neutral, but you're going to sit up here and put on Facebook and then everybody, here's the thing where you're getting played. The exact thing that you think you're fighting against, you are ushering in, because people who believe that, do you understand that the people who want to oppress you, don't want you to vote. So they're like, yes, that's right. Don't vote. White supremacy. What's the point of voting? Yes, you're right. So you are ushering the very thing that you're saying you don't want. The idea that nothing you do matters because white supremacy.
That's learned helplessness.
It's learned helplessness. Exactly.
It's the same energy.
Yes.
Black people, and specifically Black women, but Black people in general, who say, well, the white man tried and tries to commit genocide against us. So in order to fight back against the white man, birth control is evil. And so we can't, ladies, we need to birth soldiers for the revolution with no plan, no revolutionaries to teach them. And so what you use is, well, because white men bred us as slaves for 200 years, then now you don't have to take any responsibility for your breeding. It's just an excuse not to take responsibility for yourself. One thing does not justify the other. If white men, see, this is the difference. If white men were consciously breeding you during slavery for a purpose of their own, then you don't just recklessly breed.
Exactly.
You consciously breed for your own agenda. But that's not what we're doing. We're just breeding for volume and thinking bodies in the seats makes us strong. Bodies in the seats that are completely dependent upon the very white man that you're supposedly birthing to destroy makes absolutely no sense. So a lot of the things that we do and say as Black people, it's just an excuse not to take up the mantle of accountability.
Exactly.
Accountability. And so I want to say this for those of you who are still stuck in that anger phase. You know, the anger phase is a part of this process. But if you find that you are still so angry 2 or 3, 4 years later that you stuck there, and that really not much in your life has changed except for you being angry, then I think you need to go beyond what me and Chris offer. It's time for you to get some therapy. It's time for you to really start working on healing that part of yourself so you can move forward. Because y'all do take our messages and you remove the spirit of what we're saying, and you try, and then you share it in a literal way, and people then walk away saying, well, see, well, Christelyn and BB, they just hate Black men and hate Black people because you're in a hateful phase, because you're in an angry phase, because you're in I want to tell the world all the horrors that, you know, have been done to me. I get it. But at some point, you're supposed to move on from that. And what I see is that a lot of us stay stuck in that anger phase, and we never get to the other phases of grief, because what you need to understand is what you're doing is grieving.
Yes, you are.
You're grieving an idea. You're grieving lost hope. You're grieving an identity. And if the anger part is a natural phase of the grieving process, but if you're still stuck there for years, then you may need a little help.
Right. You're in a state of arrested development.
Right.
I mean, and a lot of you are in a state of arrested development, and you're seeking out spaces where you can vent these things. And I see you guys, I mean, and some of you guys will be on these spaces all day. Like, y'all are trolling the He-Man Black women haters for hours and hours. Like, listen, for Kendall and I, social media, that's part of our daily lives. You know, it is part of how we, you know, it's part of our vocation. It makes sense for us to be tapped into this, But some of y'all are not getting paid for this. You guys are not, you'll be on you'll just go from platform to platform, video to video, spend hours and hours of your time. Just in the same way that the He-Man Black Woman haters, like there's somebody who every time I do a live, this person is, right there. I'm like, well, what's going on in your life where you can just be always right there whenever I'm doing live? Because it's totally unpredictable. So it just tells me that you don't have a lot going on. And so it just is, it's your anger phase, because you're looking for a place where you can vent. You're just looking for, okay, well, I'm gonna go to this place. I'm gonna go to this place. We're gonna go to this place. And guess what you're not doing when you are seeking out places where you can vent? You're not healing. That's what you're not doing. And there's a comfort. The anger is your blanket.
Yep.
Like, it's your blankie. It's your lovey. And so you're just going, you're like, oh, I don't want to post anything else. I just, and then, like, every little outrage is it's the same thing with the whole white supremacy thing, and just chasing another platform, looking for video to video to find your comfy spot, that place where you can cuddle up with your blankie and suck your thumb. And that is not maturity. It's not.
No, and it doesn't lead to healing. It's why Black people stay in. I mean, why do you think people go flocking to certain channels? Think about the difference between, Black people say they want healing, they want answers and solutions, but look about the difference in between the amount of attention and amount of viewership that Lennon Honor gets versus Tariq Nasheed. Look at the difference between Dr. Rick Wallace and Umar Johnson. Look at
what's that? Yvette Carnell and oh my God.
Versus some of these other smaller platforms who are not whose entire premise is not based on rage and fear, and Black people are not interested in that. Why? The women or the men, no one is interested. All we want to do is come to the spaces where we can just rage at each other all day long, and then talk about supposedly making solutions, where all of the supposed solution providers are arguing back and forth on a panel, pulling each other nose and shit, threatening each other. Some of these panels
arguing, like, oh my God, like because we'll get, some of you who are on these spaces will be like, did you see this? And if I have the time, if I got time today, I will go on there and listen. And it is a hot mess. And here's the thing, and y'all will say, swear up and down, well, I'm not going to church anymore. I'm not, I'm not worshiping like Jesus, da-da-da-da-da. But this is your church. So you're not in the church every Sunday and Wednesday and Friday night, but you're on these, white supremacy, rail against, white people forums on YouTube for hours and hours. This has become your church. And so you sit there and you don't do anything, or you just are fed to reinforce whatever it is in your life that you believe. So you're still not doing anything. You're still sitting there being spoon-fed some belief, listening to a leader who you're, may or may not be giving your tithes to. Right. Okay? Because it's not tithes anymore. It's Patreon. It's the tip jar. It's the super chat. But it's still the same thing. Do y'all not understand that you traded one church for another church? And that's not to say that I don't appreciate the donations. I do, but I'm not here to tell you that your life sucks and it'll never get better. Give me your money, though. And so that's what I'm not doing. That's not what Kendall and I do. We actually want you to grow. And quite honestly, it's part of the reason why we don't have 1 million subscribers, even though I'm going to just say it, Kendall and I are freaking awesome. We should have 1 million subscribers. But the reason why we don't is because we require people who put some work in. All these other people just say, sit back and just be angry. Support my Patreon, buy my, CDs that tells you that you can't, DVD about, how you could never get ahead and why we was kings once and put money in my super chat and all that. It is the same thing. They're passing around the electric collection plate. You're in church. So you say you don't go to church anymore because you're not worshiping white Jesus. Okay, well, now you're worshiping, a black pimp. I mean, and legitimately a pimp. Like, that's who you're worshiping. That's who you're giving your money to. That's who you're giving your tithes to. That's who you're sitting down and having church with. It's the same mentality.
It's whoever feeds that peptide addiction, right?
Yes.
But some people were saying that they could barely hear me. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, I actually went to the control and turned up the volume.
Oh, okay. So I mean, we have a we trauma bond, and we start we start building a lot of peptides, negative peptides, as children because we live in a very dysfunctional, pathological community, and our families are all jacked up. And so by the time we get to be adults or teenagers, we usually have formed a very healthy addiction to drama and
Hmm.
pain. And it's called a peptide addiction. Peptides are certain chemicals that are released in your brain.
And it's a
During
feel good. Yeah, it's a chemical that makes you feel good.
and
So
what
it's just, yeah, it's like a flooding of. It's the same thing to kind of bring it so you can understand. So you know how you'll be in church and you'll catch the Holy Spirit and you'll just feel this flood of feeling over you, and you're just like, ah, it feels so good, almost like an orgasm. You seek that feeling, that good feeling. Peptides allow for you to get those feelings. Okay, go on. So I just wanted to make that clear.
I saw trauma here, and I'm going to address that in a second. But yes, and so what happens is and so everything is about drama and trauma. Drama, trauma, and humor are the things that Black people love. So we go to church to get an emotional fix. We go watch reality TV to get an emotional fix. Everything is about the emotional triggering. And so we seek out spaces and social media where we're going to get that peptide addiction fed through drama and trauma and through
Humor.
petty humor,
Yeah.
laughing at
That's
our
why
own
gossip and celebrity gossip, that's
pain.
the same thing. That's why those channels do so well.
Right. And so um I just want to encourage those of you who follow us to just be conscious of your thought processes and your motivations. Listen, like I said, it's a part of the process, and being angry and frustrated and raging is a part of it. But if you find yourself, that's the only, like, you seek us out just so you can get that fed, then
Yeah.
I'm going to need you to really look at it, because what happens is you're not really internalizing our message. And then when you repeat what we say or go to share it, it loses the spirit, it
Yeah.
loses context, and then people will then say, see, that's how we know that what they're saying is we just hate Black people and hate Black
Right.
men, and we just worship white men because of what our followers are saying. But that's not what we are saying. So I just wanted to make that clear. And I want to address something else. Someone said, do you plan, this is in the conversation, in the comment section, the live chat, Christelyn, do you plan on making your retreats affordable to women who don't have $3,000 for a vacation? It seems like the women who need the support the most won't be able to afford your retreats. Now, I'm going to address what you said. And I'm going to say this, and I'm only going to say once. Do you,
I know what you're gonna say. Go ahead.
I'm choosing my words carefully because I don't want to be unnecessarily harsh. I recognize that a lot of us just don't understand, but it's frustrating. I'm gonna tell the truth. Do you understand the kind of work that it goes through to pull off a retreat like what Christelyn just put off? See, I'm behind the scenes. I'm I'm Christelyn's colleague and I'm her friend. So I know all of the background stuff of the amount of work that she put into creating such an event. And all of that she does on the front end without getting paid, in order to make these experiences happen. So I just want to say this. First of all, is this. Um, Christelyn, long before she had the pink pill retreat, she had the pink pill, which was very reasonably priced for what she was offering. She even had a payment plan.
Mhm.
So for those who wanted to get access to Christelyn and what her message and her methods, at a more reasonable price, had a whole year to do so.
Yeah.
She launched the pink pill in February of this year. We are now looking at December of this year. We're looking at the 1 year anniversary of the pink pill, in just 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
And so
Remember last December, it was actually November, we were talking about, I was like, I'm going to do this thing. And I
Yep.
pushed it back. It was supposed to be done in January. I pushed it back because I was like, there's just too much.
Right. And so there's a lot of work that we go to. We're not running a charity here. And I
Right.
know that for many of you, you think that because we're Black and we're women like you and we've been through some things that we should show up as almost like charity work to come in and help you. But what you have to realize is just like you're tired of being made the sacrifice and being expected to show up for Blackistan, show your mama had you raising your siblings, your father wasn't around to protect you, that you now raise children by yourself. You're tired of being asked to show up for free, as some nod towards goodwill, that your maternal instinct is constantly being tapped on and pulled upon. You're tired of that. Well, we're Black women like you. We don't want to have to show up for free any longer either. We put a lot of work into our platforms, into our events. It requires a lot to organize events, to organize retreats. And so the notion that we should keep our prices so low that any woman who, with a dollar and a dream can show up, is insulting. First of all, second of all, especially when we have provided very reasonably priced things that some people just choose not to prioritize or make or take advantage of. And also because, so who's supposed to pay us while we're spending all of this time organizing this great experience to help you guys? Like, who pays our bills? Who pays
Right.
our children?
Yeah. It's like, what are we? I mean, and here's the thing, Kendall. I just need to, because I'm glad you put it on intro. I just want to say something too, and you can pick this up. But I just got to say, I want to post the recap. It's only 3 minutes of the recap of the retreat, so everybody can see. And I also want to just say this: our first retreat was $800.
It was how many months to pay for it, Christelyn?
And they had 10 months to pay $800. And I want you to see. So people who say that this is so, unreasonable, how much did you spend on your hair?
Right.
Because how much did you spend on your on whatever how many?
I know that Black women went and ran and paid Benny Harlem $400
for some maple syrup in a Vaughn's packaging or whatever it was. So we prioritize what we want. And so here's the thing: the first Pink Pill retreat, I actually operated on, I want you to understand, zero profit. Zero profit. I'm going to tell you why. Because I wanted the women who believed enough in me that would take the chance, because Pink Pill was an unknown, the retreat was an unknown, and I wanted for the people who really believed in the program to benefit. So I had it deliberately at a lower price, and I will tell you that I won't do that again. It will never be as low as it was. We will have another retreat, but it will never be as low as it was. You should have got in when you could. The people who believed in me, those y'all the real MVPs. But a lot of people don't want to jump in until they see a product. So I'm going to show you what I put together, because I want Black women to see what I see and what Pink Pill is all about. So I'm going to show you the recap so you can see for yourself. So for those of you who think that this is just about me making money, I'm going to need for you to be quiet. I'm going to need for you to sit down on the floor, crisscross Indian style. Okay? That's what I'm going to need for you to do. Crisscross applesauce Indian style. So let me go ahead and put this on so people can see what they missed while I go and make sure that my daughter went to piano lessons. Okay. Okay. So, yeah. How much do I give?
Yeah,
How much?
I'm kind of over that. I'm kind of over that whole thing of, well, can we keep it affordable? When, at some point, y'all gonna have to level up. Y'all want to be a
Yeah.
part of great experiences, then you need to figure out how to level up in your life. That's what our before
Uh-oh, sorry.
is
Yeah.
applying the things that we teach. So that you can get to a point where you can experience something like this. We this thing of, can we always keep the prices down? Can we always? No, we cannot. I mean, how do we represent leveling up to you guys if we're never allowed to level up because we're trying to do charity work for you guys? No, we're leveling up just like you need to level up in your life.
And I wanted to say something too. If a white woman did that retreat, Kendall, how much do you think she would have charged?
Thousands. And I'm so tired of Black women always expecting the fellow Black woman to show up with more and to expect less. Y'all, a lot of what we complain about in Black men, I don't know why y'all can't see it, but a lot of what we complain about in Black men about how they always want us to show up
Give.
enough, to give, and they don't want to have to give anything back. We don't see that. Where they're getting a lot of that is from is us. We don't, and this is why when they say, well, who's raising us? In that sense, a lot of what they're saying is true. We don't see, we don't, when they do it to us, we think it is some kind of, it's bad. But when we do it to each other, we think, well, it's sisterhood. Don't you care
Yeah.
about me? But how is the next sister supposed to level up? How is she? I mean, so we're supposed to just give for free? Absolutely not. And I'm tired of having that discussion. That's absolutely not. So what I would say to those of you who would like to participate in Christelyn's retreats, and on my platform when I begin hosting retreats, because I'll be doing the same thing on my Blue Pill platform, that then you need to level up in your life financially and get yourself employ some of the tools and tactics that we have shared on our platforms. Invest in some of the more moderately priced products and services that we have available, and then get yourself in a position where you can afford it. That's all I'm going to say on this. This thing of expecting us, it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, just like wanting, here's the thing, that if you want to level up, when we talk about level up, you still have this cheap mentality. You still don't understand what it takes and what that life is about. And you're going to have to understand that there's going to have to be a shift. If you want a certain quality of life, there's going to be certain things and choices that you're going to have to make to make those things happen. And for you to have but here's the thing, I really do feel like, because I'm a Black woman, that even though I give so much value, and I know that I do, because Kendall could talk to me about this too, I give so much value, and part of that is because there's probably still a part of me that wants to, I don't know, feel like I'm good enough, or that I'm worthy. And so I give a lot more than, I know I give a lot of value. And for people to still come to me and say, give me more. And that's why, like, some of you guys see me where sometimes I just lose it, because it's like, you have no idea, like, the giving and the giving and the giving. And then people come around and say, well, give me more. And it's just, there's a thing that, and Kendall, you brought it to my attention when we talked, and you are absolutely right. People will ask you to give more, but understand they will never say, okay, that's enough.
No.
They will always want more. It will never be enough.
No, not for Black women.
It'll never be enough. And so I have to understand that me giving, it will never, nobody will ever say, Chris, you done good. Maybe when I'm dead, but not while I'm alive. While I'm alive, people will still say more. An event like the one I just held, I should have made $1,000 a person off of that. And I didn't make a dime. It was the room. This was a 4-star resort. Okay. You can see a 4-star resort with a spa, with a vineyard. We had an etiquette lunch where we had a coach come in and teach women how to eat properly. So in high society, there was so much. It was a 2 hour lunch on how to just eat properly. There was a motivational speaker there, Dr. Holly Kelly, who was absolutely amazing. And then we had a limo bus tour for 6 hours, going to 3 beautiful wineries, lunch included, champagne on the bus, all the wine you wanted. And then we had makeup artists come in and do makeup for free, and professional photographers so you could get your professional photos done. I did all of that for really nothing. I will never do that again. I'm glad I experienced it. It was great, but I'll never do it again for that low. I'll never do it again for that low. But I wanted people to see, like, this is what is out here. This is what, and for the people who believed in me, the people who said, I'm signing up because I've been following Chris for so long. Shout out to the people in the chat room, because I know there's some of you in there. JB, she's Dignity. Simone 56, she was there. You guys probably saw her in the video. She was looking fierce, absolutely beautiful. I mean, I was like, wow. Asia, I just got to say, you guys don't understand. Asia is so beautiful. Like, she has
beautiful features. Asia has
beautiful. You can't it's like you can't stop looking at her because it's so, her cheekbones and her eyes and her eyebrows. She's just amazing, beautiful, beautiful woman. And so we're there. And we're having this great time because I want you guys to see what's possible. And so basically that was the incubator. So I basically hosted all the people who believed in me and gave them everything I had to give. And then they're going to go and say, this is what's possible. This is what we did. But next time when you want to come, you don't have to pay me. I'm like a drug dealer. I gave you the crack for free. But you won't pay me the next time you want some.
We're joking, but all jokes aside, and I would say this goes for you too. We don't want you guys to be undercutting yourselves. We don't want you guys to be underpricing yourselves. If you have a talent, a gift, a skill, hell, even if it's just your beauty, when you're dealing with men or with women, show up. You should expect a certain treatment. You should expect for people to respect whatever you're bringing to the table, whatever it is, a skill, a talent, a gift, something you learned in college or something naturally. What it's your beauty. I mean, people want to sit around beautiful things. If you're a beautiful woman, then someone should be compensating you for your time and your effort and your energy. Makeup ain't free, skin peels ain't free, hair extensions ain't free, high heels ain't free. So if somebody wants to bask in your beauty and your feminine glory, then they should be willing to pay you for your time and to create an experience that you will enjoy. So what we're saying to you is that please, what we want to model to you is what we want you guys to impart in your own lives, which is the charity work is done. It's enough charity work. Stop being a charity caseworker in your own life, because we're not going to be that anymore. We're not going to do that. And so when we say that we want you to level up, we're trying to show you what leveling up looks like. And so if we offer a product, if we offer an experience, then we're going to charge our due. And we want you to do that in your lives too, in all areas of your life. At work, a lot of you are at jobs where you're getting underpaid, it, but you won't look for another job, or you won't go for that promotion, or you won't demand a raise because you're afraid or whatever. In relationships, a lot of you are in relationships where that you are underpriced, that you're dealing with someone and you're not getting what you should get out of the relationship, but you're afraid to leave, or you feel dependent or whatever. This is not just about money. It's every area of life. And so what I want y'all to recognize the part of you that expects your fellow Black woman to be a charity to save you, because I can guarantee you that you're being a charity for other people in your life. This is why you do it, because you look at the next Black woman and say, well, can't you help me? Don't you understand? I got these circumstances. Can't you help me? Because people are doing that to you in your life and you are falling for it. So for example, earlier ago, I was talking about the need to stop focusing on what Black men are doing to us and staying in that rage-filled state and start really looking at ourselves. the reason why a lot of us are very angry about the ways that we feel that Black men show up and they demand all of this stuff for us and they don't offer anything back. They demand submission, sex, servitude, and shutting the fuck up, but they offer very little in return and expect us to deal with them and respect them the same way we, other women of race, other races of women will respect their men, but we don't. But so and y'all love that. You love when we tell you don't give into this double standard that says that because you're a Black woman, you're supposed to show up in the life of the Black community, the Black church, the Black man, the Black body politic, and give twice as much and expect half as much in payment. But then you turn around and do that to each other.
Yeah.
You turn around and say, can you braid my hair for free? Oh, can you cook this dinner for free? Oh, can you watch my kids for free? Oh, can I wear your clothes for free? Oh, can I borrow some money? And you treat each other, your fellow Black woman, that way because you think, well, she should understand my trauma and my situation, and she should be willing to come in and fill in the gaps. Absolutely not. Stop. If you're going to stop that the Black man make you the sacrifice, then you also need to stop making each other the sacrifice in the name of sisterhood.
Because we don't do this with other people. Like people outside of the community, we know if we want a pair of Jimmy Choo shoes, we gonna pay the $700. If we want a pair of red bottoms, we gonna pay the $1,000 because we can't say, oh, can't you help me out? Can you please let me have these for I have $50. Can you please let me have these? Help a sister out. We would never do that.
No.
There's women who are extremely successful, who do a lot less than what we do, who are not Black, who give a lot of fluffy, hopey, changey, fluffy stuff, and they charge thousands of dollars for it. They're millionaires, and nobody expects them to, compromise or work for free or feel entitled to ask them. But we do this to each other. And it's because I really do feel like we don't, I think a lot of us have internalized that we are worth less.
Yes.
We're worth less, and we treat one another like we're worth less. And it's like what you said, Kendall, they'll need us to help them, but they will resent that they have to pay us
out.
Yes.
And I think some of it comes from, well, you a Black bitch like me,
Yeah.
How could you possibly? So it's on one hand, we need what we need from each other, but we resent having to compensate each other because ultimately we don't believe that it's. I'll give you another example. Sometimes some of us will we both, you and I, have created spaces. The Pink Pill, I've had many event spaces where we create spaces that are customized for the Black woman's experience, and we curate information that is specifically to address the unique experiences of Black women. And we'll have people feel that it's not good enough, or it's not this, or it's not that, or whatever, and complain secretly behind closed doors or whatever. And some of the same women will then go seek out non-Black spaces or spaces of women whose archetype is not the same as them, believing that because that person is non-Black or has a very interesting bloodline, that somehow that person's wisdom must be superior because that
tell it. Keep going.
Then get in that space and then go into the space and start asking that non-Black woman to give advice on Black women's experiences.
Yeah. Tell them about what just happened today. Go ahead.
So our surprise. So there is this thing happened. This exact example happened where some Black women have joined a non-Black women's space, a so-called level up space, right? Which is no problem. It's not that non-Black women can't have good information for you. Of course they can. But when you start looking for very specific things that have to do with your unique experiences, your unique realities, your unique conditions, your unique fears and insecurities, because you're a Black woman, because you have a certain kind of hair texture, because you have a certain melanin content or certain features, because when you walk into the room, people are automatically associating certain things with you that are outside your control. So when you show up in those non-Black spaces, and you want their wisdom to be able to guide you in those specific ways, what you end up doing is you embarrass us because you talk certain things are not discussed in non-Black spaces. And also, you embarrass us as Black women because we show up looking tacky and wretched. And also what you're saying is that
That's
it's like
it.
you
I
trash
put it off.
the spaces where Black women have cultivated uniquely for you to address your issues as a Black woman. You will almost always deemed not good enough. But then you go into these non-Black women spaces, women's empowerment spaces, sugar baby spaces, feminine art spaces, and you will pay their price without complaining because you assume that because they're non-Black, they must really know what they're talking about. And then you go into those spaces and find that when you start learning their wisdom and start learning their message, you don't know how it's going to work for you because you're Black. And so it's different for you. It's not as easy for you to just, do what they're saying because you have a specific circumstance or specific reality that doesn't translate as easily into your world as it might be for the other women in the space. And so you start presenting questions and topics in that non-Black space about your full Black reality, and then are surprised when you don't get the kind of advice that's really going to help you. But
Right.
when you had the Black space, it wasn't good enough. Oh, she did, well, she that. So what I want y'all to recognize is that, unfortunately, we are just like our sons that we complain about, in that we are extra hard on our fellow Black women. We expect more. We go in believing that the Black woman is less. And so even when we recognize that there are Black women who need things that we need, we go in resenting having to compensate them for it. We don't mind going to mixed race women or white women and paying them whatever price they demand, and we don't go in and ask for discounts and haggle, and then we don't go in and immediately start looking for all the ways that we are displeased. But when we do it with each other, it's almost like we resent having to pay each other for what we need from each other, and then get into the space and ignore it's just, I think we take for granted
Yeah.
each other's attempts to help each other and the ways in which we show up. It's like we expect it. Well, another Black woman is supposed to come in and be
Right.
assistant to you. But if a non-Black woman allows you in her space, whoopee, because wow, she's allowing me access to the inner
Right. Yeah.
sanctum.
So just say it must be better. So this woman, and we just give context. So what you're seeing right now is a young woman who is in mixed company. I put her face out because I don't want people to see who she is. Mixed company said, I need to lose weight. Can you please give me some tips? I used to be 115 pounds. Can you help me? Da, 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 da. And the whole post didn't even need her picture. Like, so you're in mixed company and you're posting a picture like this in a messy room with like, half naked. You look, I'm sure her face, like her hair was unkempt, everything else. And she's going to she's in a high class group where the host is trying to get people to live a high class lifestyle. This woman is foreign woman who really has no concept of the Black experience. She's just saying, hey, here's how, you navigate at the jet set world, how to, have a sort of a cosmopolitan, worldly persona. So she's going in looking like a dirty beggar, and she's saying, please help me. Not only that, but people in the group were like, maybe you don't want to show all of this. Maybe you don't want to show all of this. And then there was another Black woman who came in and said, well, how dare you shame her? How dare you shame her? And I contacted the operator and I said, look, you got to take this down. You got to take this down because this is a public page. This is not a good reflection on Black women, and this is not a good reflection on your page because you're trying to show that this is about class leveling up. People are already, hating on this because you seem sort of anti-feminist. This is not a good reflection on you because people will see this and say, oh, so this is what you do on your page. This is the people you attract. So it's not a good look for anybody to have this on here. But again, they will go to her page and think that she's got all the answers and she's the Messiah for everything. But then, roll her eyes and say, well, ain't nothing Chris or Kendall can teach us that I don't already know. But you over there doing that. Like, that's what you're doing.
And if that was posted in your group, I can hear the comments now. Christelyn over there with all them ratchet women in her group. She charging $200 for that. Oh, this is
Mhm.
the kind of advice that this is the people that are showing up in the pink pill. So it's just interesting that we don't see ourselves as Black
No,
women.
we don't.
We try to create the safe spaces for you to be able to ask those kind of questions among where you're in safe spaces where you don't have to worry about non-Black eyes judging and prying, where you can, of course, with a certain level of decorum, because this we expect some respect too,
Yeah.
but try to create the safe space for you to ask those questions. And yet what we find many times is that many of you don't, when we create those spaces, y'all are so, some of us can be so judgmental and so quick to declare that space is not acceptable, it's subpar, it's this and that, and then we'll go flying to non-Black spaces and show up in there, and them women they're not going to do, listen, they are not going to
And listen, they're not going to tell you. They're not going to tell you you look like a plum fool. Here's the thing, and here's what I say too. When it comes to pink pill, I say you need to have people of all races that you are affiliated with. You need to have that exposure, but you can't go over there doing stuff like that. There's a certain level of restraint you have to have. Oh, if anything, you just go there, be quiet, and observe. I'm like, observe and report. Observe your, competition. If you're gonna be on the go, the women, the other women in the group. Somebody made this perfect example. This white non-Black women will be in that group posting pictures looking fabulous. Say they're in an evening gown and their house is all decorated for Christmas. What do you guys think of my holiday tree, or what do you think of my Christmas tree? And they're like decked out in evening dresses and stuff. Like, they know what they're doing. They understand that you're giving an impression. I'm already arrived. Like, if I'm going to show you myself, I'm going to show you this best part of myself. Like, we're going into mixed company doing this. What do you think that's going to make you look like? I mean, I don't, like, this is not, understand this evolution, pink pill, blue pill, becoming cosmopolitan, becoming worldly. It's not a quick fix. Like, you just losing a bunch of weight, putting on a straight wig, and putting on some ghastly Louis Vuitton jacket that's got logos and emblems stamped all over it is not going to, land you the bag. Like, seriously, it's going to take some internal work, and it is not a quick fix. Anybody who tells you that's all you have to do is not telling you the truth. It's going to require some work on your part.
But you know what? That used to bother me. But in this, I've learned not to be bothered, because if that's what Black women are in the market for, then someone decides to sell it to it, then who am I to get angry? People show up to sell you what you want to buy. And so if Black women want the quick fix, if we just want to know that a weave and a push-up bra is all we need to live our best lives, because men are stupid. The men who rule this world and have ruled this world for quite some time are so stupid that your weave and your push-up bra is going to make him give you the keys to his kingdom and his legacy going back 500 years. I mean, that's kind of some of the stuff that I think Black women are in the market for. We just want to be told that if we could just emulate white women the right way, that we are secure all of these different bags or whatever everyone's talking about. And it's just, we just don't want to have to do the work. And listen, if you are in the market for that, and someone sells you that, then I'm not going to say that there's anything wrong with that person. They're selling you what you're in the market for. But don't, for those of us who do require some work, and for those of us who do create kind of these intensive experiences for you to immerse yourself in and to really look at yourself and to self-evaluate and to have some serious therapeutic conversations that are going to end up leave you in tears and have you really thinking about your childhood and reevaluating your relationship with your family and your siblings. Those of us who want you to do that level of work, so that when you come out on the other side, that you will really know that you are worthy of all the good things in life. Y'all are really hard on us, but it seems like when it's non-Black women or women that who physically represent what y'all think is valuable womanhood, there's a lot less critique. There's a lot less demand, and there's a lot more willingness to show up and pay whatever price is demanded. And then we show up in those spaces, and then we do stuff like with that picture, and it just makes us all look bad. So I would say that no, we do not need to keep lowering the price. Every time I've lowered the price on on my events or experiences, that I put it really, really reasonable, so that more Black women could access it. And my supporters will tell you it always blew up in my face. I ended up
Mhm.
having to close the group down early. It just got really, really ugly. I ended up in warfare. It just got ugly, all because I was trying to make my message more accessible to you. So I will say this, before I shut down my YouTube channel, I had 250 videos. I've hosted almost 70 events. I've put out dozens upon dozens of essays. I've done joint collaborations. I've done videos with you, Chris. If you couldn't, if all the stuff that I gave, that I made available at a so-called reasonable price, was not, if you couldn't figure out in the 5 years since
Mhm.
I've launched the Black Women think tanks, how to get access to my wisdom, if you didn't prioritize it or whatever, then you're just going to have to find someone else who can catch you up to speed. Because when I dropped my blue pill platform, we hitting the ground running, and we're going to be moving forward, assuming that the baseline work is already done for anybody who seeks out my private space, that the baseline work is already done. I'm not holding up the show any longer for those who are just finding me, or who are just, you're going to have to catch up. And I would suggest that y'all do the same in your lives as Black women. Y'all say, well, how do we know that y'all are leveling up? Well, are you watching us?
Right.
Because did Christelyn have the pink pill in 2017? No, she didn't. She created it and launched it in 2018. Did she have the pink pill retreat? No. Did I have a website in 2017 or even 2018? No, but I will have one in 2019. So you'll watch us level up, and you'll see that we are applying our own message, that we are taking it and using it in our lives. Christelyn took a little bit of my blue pill, and
That's
then she pink pilled
it.
herself, and look how great Chris looks. So we are actually implementing our own strategy. It's just, we're just not glamoring you with a whole bunch of fluff. If you're paying attention to what we're leveling, the areas that we're leveling up in,
Don't
you'll
forget the
know.
retreat and the retreat that's coming. Like, if that's not level up, I don't know. I don't know who else is doing that.
I don't have any active YouTube channels. So if you're seeing that's not how my name is spelled. So if you see someone with a channel that's pretending to be, that's not me. I don't have any active Facebook YouTube channels anymore. So that's somebody else playing games. That's not me. But I just, I just want to use our experiences as a teaching tool for you guys, so that you guys can benefit from our wisdom. We are positioned very uniquely because of the work we do, and so we get a very different vantage point of you guys than you do looking up at us. We're looking down at the masses of Black women, and what we see, we're trying to um show you yourselves. And so, listen, nobody's trying to discourage you. Seek out whatever messages or whatever teachers you think are valuable, but watch that tendency to have a double standard and two different sets of expectations. Because one of the things that I said, and I said this in the pink pill earlier today, I did a live in the group, that if you go into Christelyn's pink pill group, and you go into the search area and put in interviews, all of these interviews that Christelyn has done in the group will pop up. She's done at least 10 interviews in the group with finance people, beauty people, wig experts, relationship experts. I mean, all of this stuff that she added to the group at no additional charge from the original price of the pink pill. If you look at, she added a whole additional module, mercenary mate selection. She had an interview with Ralph Richard Banks from Is Married to White People. Everybody else is talking about the book, but Christelyn has the kind of pull that allows her to get access to the man, to the author, and do a brief interview in the group on top of the interview that she already had with him from years ago. So all of that she did at no extra charge. All of that she did, spending time every day in that group, curating information and adding. And I have told her, to be honest with you, I told her a long time ago to stop adding,
Yeah.
because at some point
Well, I'm
people
listening.
people
Let's make some
people
change soon.
Yes, because people take you for granted. And
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, for some of the criticisms that I've heard and that I know are being said about the pink pill experience, and I'm like, what other, whose platform, what non-Black women platform do you know of that you're gonna go to and pay a set price, $200, and a year later are still having additions? I likened it to, you buy a car, a brand new car, off a lot, and for the purchase price of, say, $20,000, say that's your car, and you purchase the car, and you think, okay, I got the car, and that's it. And then the next day, and then the next day after that, and the next day for the next year, the owners of the car lot show up to personally wash your car, to detail it, to check the oil, to check the mileage, to fill up your gas tank for free, to check the brakes, to shine up the car, to be available for you whenever you need any questions about the car, for you to enhance, add extra features onto the car,
Right.
to change the fabric to leather, and all for no additional fees over the course of the next year. You didn't know you were going to get all of that, but you got it, and for you to still be complaining about the car dealership. That's in essence what I have seen done with the pink pill, and I've had experience done with me and my platforms, that what we produce as Black women is never enough for other Black women, but other spaces can produce barely any of that. And there's no complaints about the price, there's no complaints about the creator, and what they are said is considered, their word is considered bond. And it's because we feel about each other the same way we complain about Black men feeling about us, that we're not worthy, that what we produce is not good enough. And so we don't, when we come into the space, we need to be, the person who created the space almost needs to be thankful we showed up.
Right.
But then we turn around and get angry when Black men feel the same way about us.
Right.
Where do you think they're getting it from? So I just want to take this opportunity to kind of remind all of us to check this double standard that we have in our heads about our own worth and each other as Black women. We want Black women. We need someone who understands our experiences, but we don't respect the people who understand our experiences.
Right.
And then we go into women's spaces who don't understand and ask them things that they, that they don't.
I mean, they're sweet. Here's the thing. Like, I'll use Anna as an example. Anna Bay, you guys know, she's a friend and colleague. She's the sweetest, extremely classy, wants the best. But she's grown up in Europe, and she's a blonde, blue-eyed, Swedish Russian woman, and you're asking her to address your unique experiences as a Black American woman, and she's looking at you like, I can tell you which Chanel jacket to buy. I mean, it's like,
Right. It's just that, listen, nobody's saying that these people don't have great things to teach.
Yeah.
Chris hosts these people on her platform all the time. So clearly she thinks they have some value, but
Yes.
keep everybody in their lane. And what gets is, when some of you think, well, oh, that person must really know what they're doing.
Right. And she probably knows way more than Chris. Let me put her there. Like, I'm going to tell you, I'm sure that's what happened. Like, everything I do is very I mean, I do think things, contrary to belief, I do think things through further. And I know there's a sample of people who follow me who are going to skip right over pink pill. And because this woman is white, blonde, blue-eyed, you think white people are better. Like, you always say that I think white people are better. I think that there are a lot of Black people who think that just white people are naturally better. And so I know that they're going over there thinking that, again, it's what you said, the ice is colder, and it is what it is. But the thing is that when you go over there and you're asking her to address things to your unique Black experience, and she just tilts her head and looks beautiful and says, I would love to help you, but I don't know, I'm not even an American. You hopped over the person that you thought was less worthy because you don't think much of yourself. And so you don't think much of me because I'm you. That's just how it is.
That's what it is. I think that some of us really need to look at the fact that what we don't, we said we want to level up as Black women, but that's not really what many of us want. Secretly, what we want is white womanhood. We're trying to figure out how we can level up as white women. And so we don't think a Black woman can teach us that, but a Black woman can't teach you how to level up as a white woman. She can only teach you how to level up as a Black woman. But we come to these spaces seeking each other out, saying that that's what we're looking for. Well, I want to level up and be the best version of myself, my Black woman. Oh, melanin, I love myself. But when it comes to actually living out and executing the strategic plan, what we are finding, and what I'll say what I am finding, is that a lot of us really don't. What we want is access to white womanhood. And we think that white women could teach us how to get just a little, a little bit of the essence, the magic, the white girl magic. And that's why we think that you need to have straight hair, you need to put on a wig, you need to do these things.
Contact, freaking pupil transplants. Was it iris?
we just won't. And I think some of us really just need a moment to really look and evaluate how we feel about ourselves at our core. Because what we're saying is, I want to level up as a Black woman, but what we really think is the only way to level up is as a white woman. And so we don't take a Black woman's advice as seriously as we do a white woman. And then we get over there and realize, damn, but I'm still a Black woman, even though I'm in this white woman's space. And she really can't help me with my unique situation. And they get frustrated or end up embarrassing all of us by going over there. There's certain conversations that should not be had outside of Black spaces. That's why I keep my spaces private. That's why I don't allow men. That's why I don't allow non-Black women. That's why. And then we go over to those spaces, assuming that woman is going to be able to give us a drop of her power, and then are surprised when they really can't. And so I just wanted to, But
it's good to have. Like, I'm not telling you that you shouldn't associate or, find value. You absolutely should. Like, you really do need to go and venture out and see and understand that this is a global experience that you need to have, but you need to also deal with the source. Like, I'm a gardener. I can't, I'm going to just look at the tree and not really focus on the roots, where the roots is actually what makes the tree beautiful and strong and able to weather when things happen. If the roots are not fertilized, if it's not watered, if I don't deal with what's going on underneath, then everything that comes up and out of it is going to be is going to be substandard. If you want to really understand the level up process, you're going to first have to dig down. You're going to have to go deep before you can level up. And that's just it. So you do have a whole module on observing your competition, being going out and being friends and having associates of non-Black women. I encourage that. That's in the module. But understand that you are going to have experiences that they're not going to be able to relate to. Okay? And that is just the way it is. You're going to have to dig deep before you level up.
Okay, I'm gonna say something, and then I think I'm gonna bow out of this discussion. I think that someone, maybe I'll do it, maybe Chris will do it, maybe we'll do it together. Someone needs to create protocols, something that and make it available to Black women. Because I just want to say this. This is why you end up not ever this is how we end up like screwing ourselves, because someone gives us an inch, we take a mile. Christelyn will at times bring in other perspectives and people who have their own platforms and businesses, because she thinks that's going to help Black women. I am officially encouraging her to stop doing that. And here's why: because y'all will take that as an okay, the carte blanche to just kind of disrespect her on her platform. So somebody's in the chat room talking about another woman, another platform, and how this platform has been so great for her, and she's so glad she found this other woman who's taught her because she's a married woman. This is why you can't show up for Black women the way we really want to show up, because we would love to be able to say, listen, this is some great advice this person has, but we end up putting ourselves in the sacrifice seat, because when y'all think that because Chris will introduce you to a different platform or a different woman or a different person who is an expert in one area or another, that's carte blanche and just disrespect her on her platform. Show some respect for the fact that this is Christelyn's house. And it is disrespectful for you to be suggesting other women's platforms and how great they are. And because what people will do is exactly what we're talking about. They'll say, oh, who is this person? Let me go find her.
Object. It's like it's like the kitten with the shiny object. It's just whatever, you see kittens and you put like something flashy in front of their face and they're just like,
yeah. And it's just like,
yeah, but this is always searching. you know,
It's
and
never enough.
it's never enough.
It's never
It's
enough.
never enough.
I don't know what the story is about that comment, but to say, well, I'm so glad that I found this person because she's a married woman. Well, Christelyn is married.
I'm a married woman too. I've been married. I'm about to be married 17 years. I have 4 children.
And I mean, and here's the deal. We're always looking for what we think is the next level up teacher.
Right.
We're always looking for what we think is the next professional before we've even mastered the prior teacher. Y'all are so quick, we're so busy looking for the person that we think really gets it. But did you master the level of information and wisdom that you had before that? Or are you so busy looking? Like, there's a difference between a person who is a student and a person who's an information collector.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of times we as Black women don't know the difference. The student learns and applies what the master is teaching before they go looking for the next master,
Right.
the next level up. And what I find with us is that we just platform hop from platform to platform, looking for the next level up teacher when we haven't leveled up in our lives. You may not be ready for that next person because you haven't even applied the lower level stuff. And so we're always searching. And it's just, to me, it's just disrespectful.
Thank you for saying something.
Yeah. I'm gonna go because this kind of stuff really frustrates me and annoys me. And it's like I think that, Chris, I think that you should stop promoting anybody else on your platform. I think that you should stop bringing in non-Black women. I think that you should stop bringing in experts that really could be helpful to Black women, because I see that Black women can't handle that. They can't handle you bringing someone else in and then them jumping ship or pedestalizing that person over you. We can't handle it. We can't just say, let's see what this person has to offer me. But let's keep rocking with where I'm going. It was like, oh no.
Well, now it's like everything turns into a religion. It's like,
right.
And it's the next Messiah,
right.
The next Messiah.
I just can't.
Next level up Messiah. It really is.
So disrespectful. And it's unfortunate. And this is why I ended up leaving YouTube. This is why I've pretty much gone underground. And even this makes me want to just even go back underground.
I know. I could tell you're getting mad because, and all these people are talking about, oh, I'm leveling up, but you don't even have basic courtesy. You don't even have an understanding of the basics of etiquette. And
I don't understand how y'all think
what is polite and impolite. Like, you don't even know the basics, and how are you going to level up? How are you going to find a quality man if you have no class? Like, you don't even. And the thing is that a lot of y'all are you're so ignorant. You don't even have the sense to know that you're being ignorant. But then if somebody will tell you, hey, look, this is what you're doing, you're defiant. You don't want to hear it. Don't shame me. It is what it is.
Yeah, I'm done. Okay, so I'll say this, and I'm gonna go. Don't be surprised when y'all, some of you are gonna be surprised when you look up and you realize that a lot of the women that you rely upon for great information, for encouragement, for support are no longer around, because it's only but so much disrespect any person with some sense is gonna take. And I think that maybe somebody needs to write out a list of rules and protocols to make Black women understand proper etiquette when dealing with other people. Just because we're Black women doesn't mean that we deserve less respect. Doesn't mean that that there shouldn't be some respect for us and our I don't know what else to say, but anyway, Chris, I'm gonna go.
All right, I hear you. Well, thank you for coming in and
I'm just gonna say this. When I launch my Blue Pill platform, there will be none of this nonsense that takes place. There'll be none of this. And moving forward, I can say for Chris, as her friend and someone who gives her advice, that there'll be none of this nonsense on her platform either. Because the pink pill was it was a rabid success. It was excellent, and I don't want to sully the success of the pink pill with negative energy. So, but I just want you guys to realize a lot of the problems that you're searching for answers for, that you keep blaming Black men and white women for, or white supremacy, you really need to look at yourselves. Some of it is you just don't know. You don't know proper protocols and procedures, and you're so desperate for any help that you don't realize that there is still a proper way to engage the stuff. There's still protocols. There's still ways that you're supposed to show up respectfully, because you're dirty. Because you've become like dirty beggars who are just desperate. Think about a person who is starved, right? A person who has not eaten, a person who is well fed, a person who is who's receiving excellent nutrition, good rest, who's living a great life. You put a plate of high quality food in front of them, and they're going to pull out their knife and their fork. Before they do that, they'll lay their napkin in their lap. They'll pull out their knife and their fork, and they'll prepare to eat their food in a very respectful, very calm, very appreciative, very civilized manner. Now
Mm-hmm.
think about a person who hasn't had a drop of food in a month, and
Mm-hmm.
you throw some leftover, some entrails on the floor uncooked. How are they going to act? What they're going to do is they're going to fight the next person. We've all seen this in situations where calamities have happened, and so there's a situation that's happened, whether it's a natural disaster, something, and the relief efforts are there, and they're throwing out water, they're throwing out bread. Think about how the people act. They're knocking each other over because they're desperate, because they need water, they need food, they need sustenance, and so they're desperate, and all civility goes out the door. All protocols, all humanity goes out the door, because you have been reduced to the level almost like of a basic primate, like a beast, right? Just in survival mode, and so you're gonna get what you need. Civility be damned. That's the way we can act as Black women. And so I get that we are so desperate for something to change in our lives that we can become like that, rabid almost. But then
Mm-hmm.
we show up to each other's spaces like that, and it's like we're knocking the water bottles out of each other's hands, we're grabbing the
Right.
food, we're storming all over each other, and we don't remember that. Don't come to the table as a dirty damn beggar.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And expect something to nourish you and to civilize you. Come to the table with some basic respect for the food and the one person who prepared it. Don't disrespect the table that you need to sit at to eat, and think that, and that's okay. It's not okay. It's not okay.
Right.
Don't show up as a walking apology, and don't act like dirty beggars where you're in someone else's house under someone else's thread in someone else's space, but you talking up another practitioner, or
Yeah.
you say,
Oh, well, did you see? She really knows her stuff, and it's
yeah,
like,
for y'all don't feel like any of this. It doesn't matter. Whoever is giving you what you need, whoever's going to feed you, it doesn't matter. But
right.
like I said, these are not charities that we're running. We are business women. And while we may choose at times to introduce you to another platform, Chris, many of you have found me through Christelyn and her willingness to showcase me and my work on her platform. We may choose to do that specifically for specific people. That does that not then give you carte blanche to think that that means that we so want you to have what you need, that we don't care if it puts us in the financial sacrifice seat.
Right.
We don't care if this person gets all of this free marketing and business marketing in our spaces that they're not giving to us. It's like, don't be a dirty beggar, and don't assume that because you haven't had a meal, right, that anything goes. No, there
Right.
is still an expectation for you to show up and act civil and put the napkin in your lap and pick up your knife and your fork and appropriately eat your meal, and to nourish yourself. Just because you may be desperate for information and you don't care who you get it from doesn't give you the right to then show up under our spaces and disrespect our business. The fact that we need to, this is
Right.
our house
Right.
because you like this person, so let me talk this person up in another person's group.
Right. Well,
Because
let me use an example. Say I'm throwing a dinner party. I'm throwing a holiday party, and I've, set this beautiful plate. I've got this great, 4-course meal. I've had it catered. I've got, I've got, plated hors d'oeuvres. I've brought in a staff who's like doing, and I've given you, access to my event. I've given you access to my dinner table, to my access to my generosity, and you come in and say, "Oh, this is why I love going to Shaniqua's dinner parties. Shaniqua gives the best dinner parties because she doesn't have just 2 wait staff; she has 5, and she doesn't serve she don't serve dry white wine. She serves Moscato, and I have created this for you. You haven't said thank you for even being invited, or having a seat at the table. But then you come in and you're telling other people, you know, how well another person gives a party. Like, would you ever do that without even acknowledging that you see what I'm saying? Like, that's what that is. That's what that is.
Right. But see, okay, so some of y'all are saying, well, just make the point and move on. But what we're trying to use these as teaching opportunities for the women who are watching to understand why this is bad protocol. I think maybe I will put something together to explain proper protocol for showing up in other people's spaces, because we really just don't seem to know. And so the reason why we will sometimes talk about it and kind of delve into it in the moment is because we're trying to use it as a teaching moment for you guys. Maybe we shouldn't use it as a teaching moment. Maybe we should just block and delete and keep it moving, and not use it as a teaching moment. But what we usually try to do is use it as a teaching moment so that you can understand where we're going wrong as Black women. Because see, the difference is when you show up and you do this mess in non-Black spaces and in other ecosystems, no one is going to stop and pull you to the side and say, what you did was out of pocket, you're not following protocol. What they're going to do is just snicker behind your back and then rescind all access.
Yes,
so
you will wonder why you never get another invitation, why you never get invited back again.
You won't get the promotion, you won't get the second date, you won't get the invite to the fundraiser or the party, you will not be allowed access, and you'll never know why. And so many Black women walk away saying, well, the reason why they, it's because I'm Black. Well, the reason why I'm getting overlooked for promotions at work is because I'm Black. I'm just as qualified as that white woman. But that, she came in, she's younger than me, she spent less time, but you was in there acting the fool. You wasn't playing the game. And then so you don't understand the protocol of the ecosystem that you're in. And so the reason why we try to take a moment and show you guys what we're doing wrong in real time is because no one else is going to do that for you.
No,
other people will just keep you out. And you'll walk away thinking it's because you're Black. It has nothing to do with your Blackness. It has everything to do with your culture and your mindset. So we try to stop and give you a moment and show you what it looks like. But maybe, Chris, maybe we should stop doing that too.
I'm going to tell you, Kendall, and I don't know if you knew this, but this goes back to when the people who were in the retreat, Simone, you were in there, Janice, you were there too. When we were having the etiquette lunch and we had an etiquette expert walk us through, and she said part of proper protocol and the cornerstone of polite society is to always make the other person feel comfortable. And so all etiquette and table manners, all that is predicated on that cornerstone. And it's for that reason, if someone breaks protocol, it is never polite to tell them unless they ask. And let's face it, most of us don't even know to ask. They will not tell you. She said, she goes, I'll be somewhere at a restaurant, and she'll be so frustrated. She said that she'll see parents, with their kids sitting at the table, and they'll have all these electronics and they'll do all this stuff. And she goes, it breaks my heart because it's an opportunity for them to teach their children the rules and protocols of polite society and eating and all of that stuff. But I can't do it because it is impolite to ask. And so there's a lot of things that we don't understand, that a lot of things that we ask of each other. We think everything is a backyard barbecue. But I am telling you, the stuff that you think is okay,
it's not okay.
You want to talk about leveling up. You go into these ecosystems and you behave the way that you behave around us, and you think that everybody's racist. No, you're just a donkey and you don't understand the rules. You're not sitting back for a second to see what it is because you're just chasing the shiny object. You don't want to do the work. You don't want to do what it takes. You don't want to go through 13 modules of pink pill. You'd rather spend $500 on a long straight wig.
There's a comment in it, and I want to address it. There's a difference between calling out specific behaviors versus automatically attaching negative behaviors to all. Sweetie, I don't know why, in what spirit you made this, but I'm just going to address what you said. No, there isn't, sweetie. And this is where we get wrong. And this is where we as Black people show up in other ecosystems and with our morals and our ideas of how things should go, and then be surprised when it don't rock that way. You have, as a Black woman, you are a calling card, and most of what is called for is not good. So when you show up as an individual and break protocol, they're not going to just look at you and say,
Right.
you attach that to you. No, they're going to do it for all Black women. So the next Black woman who wants an invite is going to get turned down, whether you like that or not, whether you think that is right or not. Y'all need to look, once again, understanding the protocols of other ecosystems. This kind of individualist, well, I don't want to be judged of what other people do nonsense that we do as Black people in Black community does not fit. And no one else does that. It's only us that do that. And then we go out into the world and expect other people to see us that way. And it's not how, if you want to be, if the stereotype is negative and you want to be set apart from the stereotype, then you're going to have to take it upon yourself to set yourself apart. It's not the opposite. It's not, well, you're innocent and too proven guilty. No, you're guilty and too proven innocent.
Yes, you are.
That's what it is. So when you show up in the spaces, they don't care if you didn't know the protocol. They don't care if your ecosystem didn't teach you that if you show up, not only will they blacklist you, they'll blacklist anybody that represents you. So y'all need to understand the reason why we stop and we address it in the moment is because nobody else will. But you know what, Chris, I think I'm done doing even that. Matter of fact, I would like it personally if you would not leave this video up, because I feel like
this is going off, but I want to use the woman's picture as an example. Do you think that any of the women in the group that have made it are going to invite that girl out of the kindness of her heart to a gala in Monte Carlo if they have an event, a group event? Do you think she's going to be invited? Do y'all understand where I'm going with that?
Right. And not only will they not invite her, they will associate all of Black womanhood with her, except for those who intentionally make themselves stand out. Exactly. And so what's fair and what's right ain't got nothing to do with how the world works. And we don't know the protocol because nobody taught us. You know, right. I don't know a lot of things.
But we also, it's not even just that, it's that we resist when people tell us.
We resist protocol. We resist rules. And as a person who doesn't like
rules, I want nobody to tell us.
We think rules are suggestions. That's what we think. We think rules are suggestions, but many times rules are fault lines. And we don't understand that, ladies. And we think, well, because, I'll decide I'll pick and choose which part of this protocol I'm going to address because I don't feel like I should have to do it. It don't matter what you feel.
Right.
Because when you leave Blackistan, rules become fault lines. And if they say that this is how we do it and you show up in there and you ain't doing that way, then your ass gets tossed.
Right.
And it doesn't have anything to do with your skin color. It's everything to do with your pedigree.
Yes.
So when me and Chris stop in the moment to try to show you in the moment some of what we're doing that signals low pedigree, it's not that because we could not tell you too. And I think I know that moving forward, I'm not going to stop and say shit. If you don't get it, you don't know what the protocol is, then I don't know what to tell you. Sucks to be you. And you'll be standing there over on Cynthia G's page talking about evil Neanderthals thinking that you're on the front line of the next Black Lives Matter rally, shutting down highways and byways because you don't convince yourself that the reason why you didn't get the job, the man, the life, the money, the situation, the level is because of your race when it has nothing to do with it. And I could have told you what it was, but I'm not going to keep telling you because I'm tired of casting my pearls to swine. How many times have I addressed this very thing? And like y'all still will come, some of you will still come and do this exact thing. It is impolite, okay? If Christelyn introduces you to another person or platform or messenger on her platform, that's one thing. It is impolite for you to come in and start sharing and talking about and sharing accolades about everybody else. Let me tell you why. Because those people don't do it for us. You know how many times we've gotten word back to me that someone has brought up my name or shared a video or a post of mine in somebody else's group, and that person will come in and tell them, don't you share that bitch's shit in my group, and get very angry that someone even alluded to me or even made reference to one of my taglines. And people get very angry when I am promoted or someone even just quotes me in a space. Now, I have never been one person who's done that. There have been plenty of times in my spaces where people have shared other people's stuff, people that they may not have known I got negative history with, a person that I now consider an enemy. They'll post that person's video or essay in my space. I don't say anything,
right?
But it's but I'm making mental note. It's not just about. Listen, I get it. We're ravenous women. We want everything. We want all of the information, and we know that we're going to have to find it from multiple sources. So we think you guys will think that because we say we care about Black women, that means that we want y'all to get healed no matter what weird position it puts us in, no matter how it may compromise us financially, no matter how it may break protocol. Because after all, we just want to help you. So if you show up and you are promoting 15 other bitches shit in our shit, then we're not going to say anything and not feel offended, because maybe that person has some really great things that you need to hear. Now, if we introduce that person into our space, then we've accepted the calculated risk of what that would mean. But it doesn't mean that now you should be doing the same thing.
Right. So again, somebody's house. If I have a guest of honor in my house and I invite them over and I say, hey, I want you to meet this really cool person. Let me introduce you. That's different than we're at a meal and you're like, wait a minute. Let me call my homeboy and bring him over here. Let me call my homegirl, and she needs to come in here too. And I'm going to just bring all these people in here. That's a lot different than me having a guest that's invited in my house and saying, I would like for you to meet. That's a lot different than you getting invited and then deciding on your own that you're going to invite 5 other people and we just better get the plates out, because that's just how we operate. It's just like, whatever, it's just like, oh, we're having a dinner party. Well, I was bring my homies, so I bring 5 other people. That we think that that's okay because that's what we do.
No, it's not okay. It's also the equivalent. I've heard somebody say this. It's the equivalent to an art gallery is hosting a specific artist for a night, and they have all that artist work up, and they invite people. They spend all the time and money to drum up interest, to market, to bring people to come in to see the art and potentially, hopefully, to buy some of the pieces so that both the artist and the art gallery will make a profit, right? And that would be akin to the art gallery hosts and put all of this money into the front end marketing and everything. The artist creates all of these great pieces of art. The art gallery hangs them and pays people to do all the stuff and host this event that one night. And someone comes in and says, wow, this is some great art. Well, actually, I got some great art too, and goes in their car and pulls some of their art and sets it up next to the art gallery. That's what we will do as Black people, and we don't think it's and then what we'll say is, well, you shouldn't feel bad about me bringing my art in here. I mean, you said y'all are all art connoisseurs. You want us all to fall in love with art. Well, shouldn't we? I mean, I have great art too. So shouldn't you want your customers to see my art too? So, I mean, isn't this all about creating a love for art?
Right. It's true. It's all the same. We all want to do appreciation.
I'm just telling y'all,
right.
It's bad protocol, and it's the kind of stuff that we're doing at work, we're doing in relationships, we're doing socially. We do it all the time as Black women, and we don't even know we're breaking rules. We don't know it's wrong, or sometimes we do know it's wrong, and we're doing it anyway because we're trying to be spiteful or hateful. But then we'll say the reason why we don't get easy access, the reason why we're overlooked, the reason why we're not promoted, the reason why we're not extended access granted by the gatekeepers is because we're Black. No, it's because we have low pedigree and we don't know protocols.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to show you in real time some of what that looks like. But you know what? I'm tired of even doing that. So, if y'all think it's okay to come into our spaces and promote other people, or to come into when we promote other people in our spaces, for you to just completely abandon us and to jump onto their bandwagon, and throw us under the bus and light a match on your way out the door. To me, that's really trite. Acknowledge the person who even introduced you to this person. Y'all always hear me acknowledge my mentor as the one who taught me. You always hear me pay homage to Chris as someone who supported me from the very beginning. And I don't think it diminishes me in any way. I don't think it diminishes me for my clients to patronize Chris, or sometimes I send personal clients or customers to my mentor if they need something I can't provide. To me, we are a network and we all benefit when we all win. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to come into my mentor spot and start marketing my events in her place without asking for permission, or coming into Christelyn's Pink Pill and marketing my stuff in her thing without asking permission. There's just basic protocols. And a lot of times I think we know that there are protocols that exist outside of the Black community. We may not know what they are, but we know that they exist. But when it comes to each other, we think it's no holds barred. Why do I got to show any respect to you? You're a Black bitch like me. You just a single baby mama for Brooklyn, so why do you don't even have your own website?
And yeah, so it's a thing. We have a lot to learn, and you really have to get to, if you really want to flourish, you're going to have to start at the root. You're going to have to start at the root. There's no quick and easy thing. Like you may be able to play it off for a little while, but the mask will soon fall off. You will stumble over it. You really need to start at the root if you really want to flourish in this level up thing. It's not a quick thing. And also you need to, have some, be polite, be considerate, and not look at other Black women as,
maids and mammies and mules.
Yeah, maids and mules. Your mother is supposed to give you stuff for free,
right? And so you don't want
to. You ask your mother for money. Your mother is never going to expect you to pay her back. That's how I know that I feel sometimes, where it's just like I'm the mom and I'm just like the giving tree. I'm just gonna give, and just think, if you woke up tomorrow and Kendall, we're gone.
Or if you woke up tomorrow and we created platforms that were not specifically for you. If we opened up our platforms for non-Black,
if we just said, hey, we're gonna open to everybody.
So angry and so hurt and betrayed if we opened up platforms that didn't cater to your experiences, but look at what we experienced back from you. And that's not to say that all non-Black people are always going to be great, and that every single Black person that we deal with, Black women that we deal with, is a problem. But it's a problem enough that almost every single time we do a video or anything, something happens that we end up having to address it. And it's just like, have some basic respect, dude. We're not perfect. You're not perfect. But can we at least come and just have some basic respect for each other? Don't do to each other what we complain about the world doing to us. White women appropriating our fashion, our beauty, our style, making money off of it, but throwing us under the bus. Black men wanting us to show up, to support them, to love them, to birth them, to nurture them, but then throwing us under the bus. But then do we do that to each other? Do we show up with each other and almost demand what, I demand that you teach me what you know, because my mother, I'm entitled to what you know because I didn't get it. Nobody gave it to me. And you need to give it, you need to perfect it and curate it, customize it to my personal needs, and then give it to me for free. And a lot of times we do that and we don't think there's anything. We call that sisterhood. No, but if you love me, you will do this for me in sisterhood. That's why I did that. I did an event asking, is it sisterhood or sacrifice? Because a lot of us, when we think of sisterhood, it's truly the sacrifice. Oh, well, my baby daddy's not around, but my sister needs to help me raise my kids.
Right.
Oh, my
mother, it's all
pseudo mama to my kids. The community's asked out, so I need the women to come and take up the front line. And we do that to each other, and we expect it as natural and normal. And if a Black woman doesn't want to show fealty in that way, then she's not our sister. Sisters through the sun, that triangulation. We have to stop doing that to each other. And so unless
you're light skinned or mixed looking, then
that works. Or if you're white and
if you're white, light skinned or mixed, you'll treat them better.
A lot of the stuff that goes on, that why we as Black women, the reason why it's relevant and the reason why we talk about it and don't just dismiss it, just block the person and dismiss it, is because of this. A lot of times, ladies, the answers that we're looking for are closer to home than we think. We're all out in the world. We're studying ancient civilizations and going out into space, talking about the Illuminati and Anunnaki and 666 and all out into the world with conspiracy theories and Afrocentric Hotep nonsense, trying to figure out why things are not the way we want them to be. As Black women, we following behind these people who are selling us hidden colors and hidden this and that, and thinking that the answer must be somewhere out in the ether about why we're at the bottom of the barrel. And so it must be white people and white supremacy. It must be 400 years of slavery, which was not 400 years, by the way. It must be Becky and her privilege, Cornerstone Carolyn and Barbecue Becky and Permit Patty. Oh no, I know it's the evil white man and his clandestine New World Order agenda. Oh no, I know it's Satan and Beelzebub and Lucifer. Oh no, I know it's the Black man. It's the Pimparch and the Black Ape and the Nignog. Everybody but us. And when does the conversation? When does this process for us as Black women ever lead to the inner sanctum, the final frontier, which is what I talked about in my last event for the KsC platform. That's what we talked about. The final frontier is once you've analyzed and assessed all of these external variables, you need to go into the inner sanctum, which is where you and you alone exist. It's you and the mirror up in there. And you look in the mirror and you ask yourself the hard questions that you've had to ask everyone else. And so just like I told the Black man to pull away from the keyboard and pick up a hammer and build something, I have told you to push away from the keyboard and pick up a mirror and tell the truth. Yeah. So the reason why we stop and we acknowledge this and we do this dance with you is because we're trying to show you what no one else will show you, which is why you end up losing. You will assume because you overweight. You will assume because you're dark skinned. You will assume because you got this much hair and you don't have good hair. You will assume because you ain't got no edges. You will assume because it's you're a baby mama, or because you live in low income housing. You will assume that it's all of these things. Well, maybe that's not the case. Maybe it's not because you that you have no whiteness. It's because you have no class.
Right.
Maybe that's what it is. You have no class, you have low pedigree, and you're showing up and not even knowing that you don't know. And so when we stop in the moment and show you yourselves, hold up that mirror, it's not to shame you, it's not to badmouth you. We're doing what no one else will do, because I'm telling you, I have been in HR discussion rooms when we're sitting there looking for resumes. We're looking for people to fill positions, and a crazy name will come across our desk. Okay. And this person may have all the qualifications in the world, but they got the multiple syllable made up hood name that their mama gave them in a moment of bad choice decision making. And they didn't know enough to work the system to either abbreviate their name or just put a first initial or go by their middle name. And that I've seen the resumes get tossed. Now, y'all want to sit and argue about whether that is right or not. I don't care whether or not it's right. Of course, it's not right. But is it real? Is it right or is it real? It's real. So what we're trying to teach you is the protocols, how to maneuver in the world to win. Black people will tell you that that's selling out. Fuck Black people, because they don't ever plan anything good for you anyway.
Right.
So somebody has to tell you, no, you need to abbreviate your name. No, you need to not do this. You need to not do that. Because when you get in front of the gatekeepers in the spiritual world, they call these people the gatekeeper, the person who gives you access granted or access denied. You must appease the gatekeeper. If you coming up there with your self-righteousness, your attitude, and you're complete, you show up, the gatekeeper requires gold, and you show up with string. And then you're surprised the gatekeeper won't take your string in place of the gold that they require. Then you're going to run and talk about how the gatekeepers discriminate against string bearers or people who wear strings. It doesn't matter what you think about it. That's the protocol of that gatekeeper. And what we're trying to do is teach you the protocols. That's why we stop and we acknowledge it. But you know what? I'm tired of doing this too. So I won't stop and acknowledge it moving forward. You just won't know why you get blocked on my platform. You just won't know why your application to my private group was denied. You won't know. And I was trying to be helpful. Chris is trying to be helpful, showing you in real time why it happens. But maybe we shouldn't even do that. Maybe we should continue to treat you like non-Black women will treat you. When they find a reason to put you out there, their group, and you're going to assume it's because of racism. No, it's because of that tacky ass picture that you posted, looking trifling and making all of us look like a stereotype. And they'll never tell you.
No.
We're trying to tell you.
Right, exactly.
I'm telling y'all asses. So, Chris, thank you so much for having me. For those of you who are ready to really level up and really are willing to put in some of that work to see long-term returns and dividends, I ain't talking about flash. If you want someone to model a lifestyle to you, that's not my platform. I'm not a lifestyle brand. I am a life strategy brand. And there is a difference. Chris is a bit of both. I am not a lifestyle brand. So if you want flash, if you want to see me beautify myself in videos and all that, and on YouTube, public YouTube video, you're not going to get that from me. So don't even bother. But if you are interested in the strategy that I teach to help you strategize your way to the top of whatever you want in life, because your level up may look very different than mine. It doesn't matter. Then what you need to do is be on my email list. And you get on that by emailing me and saying, listen, I'm a Black woman. I would like to be on your email list. And I'll shoot you the link for you to sign up for it. My email address is KsC Blue Pill, BLEUPILL at outlook.com. And I'll put you on my email list. For those of you who are already on my email list, unless some information has changed, you don't have to sign up again. I'm transferring all of the emails from my email list over to the new platform. So if you've already signed up for it and everything is the same, then you don't need to resubmit one. But if you're new or something has changed, your email address has changed or something has changed, then you can just sign up again and it will update with the new information. And that's how you can stay in touch with me. I'm going to be launching my platform. I'm calling it the Blue Pill platform, but that's not the name of the platform, ladies. The name of the platform is not the Blue Pill, but I'm calling it the Blue Pill platform because that's the name that y'all have given me. Given it. I'm going to be launching that soon. The website is done. And we're just working out a couple of the little bugs in our private forum, and then I'm going to be sliding into that. And by the turn of the year, we will be launching my new platform. I will be moving away from social media, Facebook, YouTube, and all of my private work will be held on my own platform, curated by me, password protected, highly vetted, private community and forums for me, for me and the women who follow me. So that's what I'm going to be doing. But thank you, Chris, for bringing me on and allowing to have this chat. And
I posted, I spammed the chat room with your contact list because this is not going to be readily available. After we sign off, it'll be off, and maybe it'll be on Patreon and in our private spaces, but not for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, come on, y'all. Just have some respect. And if you don't know, no one's gonna fault you for not knowing. But when someone is trying to teach you, stop thinking you got all the answers. And if someone corrects you, if you trust that correction, I think at this point, if you're listening to us, you should be trusting that we're not trying to steer you wrong. If we're telling you that you're doing something that's out of pocket, then you should probably listen to us. Because no one else is going to tell you. And that's the real fucked up thing. I need y'all to be clear. I'm in those spaces. Chris is in those spaces.
Yes.
And when you earn the trust of people outside of these ecosystems, they will speak freely in front of you.
They do.
They speak freely in front of you because they don't think of you as part of that collective. And they will say the reasons why more Black women are not gaining access. And it's not just because of your Blackness the way a lot of you think. It is because of your pedigree and your breaking of protocols, and you're coming in with attitudes, and you're not respecting that that you are coming into someone else's system. You don't get to dictate what someone else's ecosystem looks like because of your morality and your ideas of how the world should be. That's not your right. And so I've been privy to those conversations. I've been in those ecosystems where I've heard Black women. I've heard discussions about individual Black women not being allowed access because of breaking rules, and also about why certain demographics are not considered right for certain spaces because collectively there is an expectation of that kind of low civility.
Right. Well, and I just tell you that too. I mean, I'm privy to a lot of successful non-Black men, particularly white men, who have said, you know what, I'm a business owner, I'm this and that. I think Black women are beautiful, but I need to know that I can take her to the office party, or I need to know that she can get along with my sisters or my ex-wife, or, whatever. And they're like, I think they're beautiful, but I need to know that they can navigate in my world. And I just, that's my reservation. And like, for that to be a barrier, something that you can change. Like, this is not something that is static. I mean, the things that we lay out, these behaviors are all, that's the good news, is that they're all something that you can learn. It's something that you can acquire with practice. It's not like, this is not because you're Black. You can't wash your Black off. You know what I mean? By seeing people try, it just is not, it doesn't work out well for them. They end up looking ashy. So you can't wash your Black off, but you can present a more classy, a more refined behavior and energy, so that people recognize you, because it is a secret language. Like, you have to understand that these rules and protocols that we're talking about is a secret language that people who know it understand, and they recognize in other people, and it immediately tells them, oh, they're of this class. And when you don't do it, they're not going to say anything. they'll just say, oh, well, they're not, but they're never going to tell you. But they, you'll wonder, well, why was she picked? Well, she knows how to hold her napkin. Like, she knew that when she got up to use the bathroom, that she needed to fold up her napkin and put it in the seat. Or she knew that it was completely uncouth to open up her purse and start redoing her lipstick at the table. Like, she didn't know, but nobody's gonna tell her that she's not supposed to do that. But
yeah. Nobody's gonna tell you.
But the thing is the consequences of not knowing.
Yeah.
But it's something that you could have learned, but it's just that defiance. Like, ain't nobody gonna tell me, ain't nobody gonna tell me nothing. All right, well,
then just accept what the ecosystem that you're in offers then, and stop complaining.
Yeah.
That's what it really comes down to. If you don't want to put in the work, listen, and then, you may decide that it's not worth it to you to take it to this level or that level. That's fine. But stop complaining about where you're at then, because I don't understand how Black women, we're so educated. We love talking about our degrees, yet, you can't figure out basic etiquette. There's classes you can get online. You can Google it. It's just, it really comes to what we've prioritized. We spend more time worrying about what's in our head than what's on it. What's on our head than what's in it. And we'll spend a lot of time debating whether or not a weave is needed, or a straight wig is needed to secure the bag, but we won't spend a lot of time talking about table etiquette, or proper dinner, dining protocols. And the difference between the different kinds of forks and stuff. Because we think the quick fix is the wig or the weave.
Right.
We think the quick fix, and we think that the people in the world that we're trying to gain access to are stupid and going to be easily fooled by our glamour. And it just goes to show it's more of that hood rich mentality that Black people have. And a lot of us, even in BWC spaces, have it. We think that we can go in and glamour our way to the top without having done any of the real work. And yeah, it may secure you a bag, but you're going to have that bag 10 years from now. But you have your own bag 10 years.
The bag will be temporary, but let me just tell you, they get tired of you. Like, you look good. I want you to understand that if you don't acquire what's necessary, after a while, your good looks will just start to be, it won't matter. And your little cute little faux pas aren't going to be cute anymore. Then he's going to start getting annoyed. Like, you don't know this by now? How come you still do this? And, it's really unclassy. You embarrassed me. And you're just like, what did I do? Well, you don't even know what you did, because you didn't bother. You just thought being pretty was all you needed to do. And it's like, no, you have to, But anyway, we're going to go because I need to go and start cooking dinner. But this has been a good conversation. Kendall, thank you. We never got around to talk about blackfishing.
No,
but,
we want to talk about some other things. Maybe another.
Yeah, some other things took precedence, but good conversation, and you just gotta get us when you catch us, because we with these conversations we ducking and moving until we get our podcast, which is coming. That's also coming in 2019. We're going to have these discussions, but it's going to be on a different platform, different energy, and it'll be a totally different thing. All right, ladies. Thanks, Kendall. And this will be in our private groups on Patreon, and Kendall, I'll make sure for the people who do have that access to that, that they have your email and stuff.
Okay.
All right. Talk to you later. Bye.